Hello, everyone. I'm back home, so now we've got just the regular nice mic. Welcome to the Jungle, presented by dGon. It's dGon, it's Monty, it's Dom here to break down the world of playoff League of Legends here across the globe. We had a ton of games that started to matter. We had teams starting to get eliminated, and we crowned our first champion in the major region in the LCK. How you doing, Monty?
I'm doing great. I watched all of the League of Legends, all of it.
It was a lot of it.
How
about you, Dom? You streamed it all.
I co-streamed all of it except for LCK, which I don't have co-streaming rights to, but that was easy. I mean, it was just one series, and LPL has like a week break. So it was supposed to be that LPL was going to do like 12 series in like 14 days. It was just going to be a fucking marathon, but it was actually like 6 series, week off, and then another 6 series. So it's not actually that bad to watch all the League of Legends. So, I mean, I pretty much just did what I normally do with LEC and
the
LCS.
LCS
and
casters disagree with you, by the way. It is too much to watch all League of Legends.
I mean, I could understand it from their perspective, you know, but like
they work 2 days a week. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. But you know, they have a real job, unlike me. I'm just a streamer, so I mean, like me watching League of Legends, it's what I need to do to keep my dead channel alive, as they say.
I will say though, they're at least contracting us, so there is opportunity for other work. Before they couldn't do other work, and then we had that little middle ground now.
I jailbroke them and they just stayed in the jail for some reason. I don't get it, but whatever.
Not all of them. Not all of them. It's just a slow trot. It's a slow trot out. As Captain Flower said, it smells like. What is it? It smells like the fans are here. Smells like fans in here or something.
It smells like fans are back. I was like, yes, it does. Yes, it does. League of Legends fans smell like shit. I'm just going to put it right out there. Like, have you ever been? Ooh,
yeah.
I went to Hanover, Germany for the IM World Championships in 2012. And my God, it was rancid. It was just like the whole audience just smelled like fucking BO, which is crazy because, you know, I mean, normally when you go to like, I never felt like there was that much of like a BO problem just like in the world when I was like go out to like college classes or like movies or whatever. It felt like I never really smelt that much BO until you get around fucking gamers, and then the BO just comes to like the next level. And that is why I won't be going to Houston for the finals. I have smelled enough gamer BO in my time. I'm going to stay in my house and just co-stream as far away from them as possible.
Yeah.
You're
there's
living
a
the
reason
dream.
why.
Doing things alone in your house and still receiving money.
I'll take it. That's what I'm doing right now, Monty. As we speak, I'm doing exactly what you're saying. Perfect.
I know. God bless. It's the best way to live.
There's a reason why that Old Spice generally has an activation at any of the gaming conventions, whether it's PAX or TwitchCon or whatever, and they make
MLG. They would hand out deodorant to people. No one used it.
That was actually the best, by the way, at those old MLGs. The fact that they would just give it away for free did make a significant difference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
On day two,
you guys are
on day two.
Day 1 to day 2 was a huge improvement.
I mean, the problem is the people that smell like shit don't really know they smell like shit. And for me, I'm not one of the types, like, I'm not going to confront somebody that they smell like shit. Like, that seems too personal. Like, if I don't know the person, I'm not going to be like, yo, you like smell like fucking BO. Like, I'm never going to do that. So I'll just slowly try to avoid them, take the picture, hover hand it so I don't get any of it on me, and then walk in the other direction.
Yeah. I've had that happen here in LA with an industry person. I was like, oh my God. You're not
I know
aware
who it is. I could literally just say the name.
Yeah.
I'll type
No.
the name.
Yeah, you can type the name.
Don't get Dom said he wouldn't do it to a random fan, but he won't even do it to people he knows, apparently.
I don't even really know
anybody. He won't out the strangers. He won't out the people he knows. He won't out anybody.
Seems like weirdly personal. I just feel like people should know, though. Like,
yes, me too. And if you all at home know that you're not stinky and you like some League of Legends content, hit the subscribe button here on the dGon channel and let us know in the comment that you aren't either aware that you're stinky or aware that you're not stinky.
Wait, did I get the person right, dGon?
You got the person right. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I triple confirm.
It's every time, and I just don't understand it. It's like I just don't get it. But okay, yeah, continue. Let's get into the show.
All right, let's
Enough
get
talking
into
about
the
people that
show.
smell like shit.
Well, the reason why we said that because fans were back not only in the LCS but over in the LCK for the finals that they had. It was the matchup that we've been waiting for. No protocols, all rosters there. But how about that production for the LCK Finals, bringing back multiple members of the 10 years of legacy within the Korean League of Legends professional space? Monty, that must have just been like a great opening for you.
Honestly made me tear up. Like, it was a huge part of my life, obviously, casting those tournaments. I cast every single finals between 2012 and 2016. So it's a lot of players that I know personally, whose stories I got to tell. And it was really deeply personal. And I think that should hopefully, I know I've said this before, set a precedent for Riot to stop running arcane ads or dancing KDA augmented reality and instead focus on the history and legacy and stories that their leagues have given us, which is the most important thing to do at major finals. And it's not advertise your garbage IP. I really hope that we see more of that in the future. It was very meaningful to me to see all of that. And I think this is the reason why people love LCK, is because they do an excellent job of celebrating their own history and showing people those stories and showing how deep and rich the lore around the league is, which is exactly the opposite of League of Legends, the game. So they should definitely focus on the stories of esports because the writing for the game is just garbage.
Definitely second that one with getting tear eyed. Again, seeing Caster June come and do that. You know, Coach Song, when he was out here, we hung out a little bit. He gave me a birthday gift for my birthday. He got me just a charger, and just to see him on the stage and have that kind of personal connection with him, and covering Fly while he was out here, it was very, very, very cool to see all those faces and then come and feel like a fraternity, almost like a family of like greatness that was there.
That guy was super generous. When I competed in OGN, he also gave me the dick in the group stage. So it was really nice. It was really nice to see that guy. Yeah, when he was on Najin Sword competing against him, he's giving everything to everyone.
So
what
I gave you
what a selfless person.
The meat sword, as it were.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was rough. It was rough.
Was there someone?
Those were interesting times.
Yeah, was there someone either? Jeez, John, get out of this. Was there someone missing from that stage, or that you wish you saw from either one of you during that opening ceremony? Before we jump into the games, because it was just so great of an opening ceremony, and if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. It's like 8 minutes. It was amazing.
I didn't. I mean, I would have to think really hard on that.
I actually don't even know all the players for sure that were on there because I wasn't like pausing it frame by frame. Maybe I didn't see Mock Noon.
Yeah, I was thinking Mock Noon.
He wasn't there.
He was?
He was not there.
What about like, was Dade there?
Oh,
I'm not sure if
Dade there. Oh. Yeah, Mock Noon.
I mean, Dade was massively influential. I felt like in the early Korean League of Legends scene. So that's somebody who I would
so was
think about.
Mock Noon, obviously like top lane, huge top lane icon. I mean, realistically, it's hard to get all people there on a given day, right? I actually think it's amazing they got that many people there as it was. It was very impressive to me.
Yeah,
it made me think like logistically trying to fly back LCS pros to come and like do an opening ceremony like that and schedule it, plan it seems like very difficult. So the fact that they're able to do that over there was and get that kind of a feeling was awesome. It was awesome to see. It was awesome to watch. Awesome to kick things off for a series that wasn't the cleanest, I would say. It was fun. It was a series that I liked. There was a lot of fighting, people making mistakes, people making outplays, but it wasn't the cleanest series here, Monty, as T1 eventually took down Gen.g 3-1 in that series. Want to get your opening thoughts here?
I think it went pretty much as I expected. I expected a 3-1. I expected Gen.g to do what they did for most of the season, heavily prioritize the dragon, continue with these heavy pushing Karma Ezreal bot lanes that were very contested in the Damwon series. Maybe they win a game that way from early Soul. Maybe they win a game from Chovy popping off. It was actually the Chovy popping off that won them the game, really. I was pretty underwhelmed as a whole with T1, but now we know that they all had COVID and felt like shit. So that explains some of the, I think, rather strange play that we saw from T1. They flipped Dragon a lot more times than they normally do and didn't have the kind of setups that we've normally seen from them around objectives. I was kind of confused by that, but I guess I'm less confused by that at this point in time with that knowledge in hand. Would they have performed better without COVID? Probably. To what degree, we don't know, but probably. I am surprised that 4 of them felt ill and somehow avoided being tested for COVID on the day of the finals. That seems a little
weird.
A little suspicious to me. In fact, I'm surprised they weren't tested regardless.
There was a tweet from a Gen.g content creator that threw out that theory that was quickly dismissed by COO of Gen.g, Arnold,
He's
who was
CEO
like,
now.
yeah, CEO, okay, CEO of Gen.g and Arnold, who was like, yeah, no, like, that's not cool. It's been dealt with. They deleted it, and we should celebrate a great season by T1 and what we did, which I thought was very diplomatic, but it was kind of
I'm just saying
right
that's
after.
Very
all
convenient.
I'm saying is
Very convenient.
it's I let me put it this way. I cannot imagine. Look, I am somebody who has run tournaments
Correct.
during this pandemic, okay? I cannot imagine not testing the players. That's weird. So,
That's weird.
We'll just leave it at that.
Okay. When we looked at the series, I felt like with T1, as you said, it was a little underwhelming from them, but obviously COVID concerns were there. But it felt like Gumayushi was just the stable player.
He was the one who wasn't sick, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, was he? Was he
The
really?
4 of the other ones had COVID. Gumayushi did not.
Yeah. Guma was so fun to watch throughout that whole series on the Caitlyn and on the Jinx, because those were the only 2 champions he played out of the 4 games. Just kind of right place, right time, playmaking. Whereas you could feel maybe that Faker was sick, but also had his hands full with Chovy in the mid lane. How did you feel about that matchup there, Adam?
I mean, I think the matchup probably played out as expected. I was really surprised that Gen.g didn't win some of these games, because I feel like there's actually a world where Gen.g 3-0s. Like, they had an advantage in game 1, and I think that they were just scaling better.
Yep.
Like, the enemy team is playing a Camille, Nocturne, Ryze comp, relatively short range into the Orin, and if Gen.g didn't just get ace of that Baron, if they just like made the normal plays where instead of trying to like steal the Drake from Peanut, he actually just gets the final kill there. They go to Drake or they go to Baron instantly from the Drake. Just give the Drake. They didn't actually need it at that point anyway. I think that they can actually win that game. I think game 1 is really in Gen.g's favor. I would consider that a throw. And then even in the 3rd game that T1 was super ahead in, as soon as they lost Soul Point, they lost Soul, that is a fucking hard game. That is a fucking hard game to win at that point. And it felt like Gen.g, they weren't ready to just actually be in that game. Like, when they had the advantage for that like small part around Baron, it felt like they didn't like they like half-assed the fight. It was all over the place, where you'd expect them to be like, oh shit, like this is our time to win. Like, we actually could win easy. Like, if we just play normally, if we play correctly, we have an advantage at this point. So I thought that was like really weird.
In that fight that you're talking about, Chovy and Lehens were just like not even in the fight. Like, the Yuumi and LeBlanc were just not there. They were on the other side, like in the jungle on the other side of the dragon.
But the other people were fighting it as if they were there, which was what was so strange.
It was very weird. It was very weird.
So, I mean, overall, I thought that Gen.g played a little bit under what I expected. I feel like this was a series that they actually could have won. T1, I wouldn't say that I expected T1 to play much better than this. I feel like people have just forgot how T1 won their games, because I've watched a ton of T1 series, and the idea that T1 was just like 2-0ing everyone, just like fucking stomping everyone, and every game was clean is just not the case. Like, they simply had like a lot of like scrappy series. They won on flips. They won on like fights where they were outnumbered. They won from positions where they shouldn't win. Similarly to how they won game 1 and even game 3 in this series. So I think that T1 is good, and I think they definitely come into MSI as a favorite, no matter who comes out of LPL, because there's no team in LPL that actually looks that good right now. But I think that it was really interesting seeing the reaction to the Munchables tweet. I don't know if you guys saw where Munchable said that T1 was he thought that T1 was overrated.
Yeah,
and this like was met with.
I actually don't know who he's responding to in that tweet, because I feel like most people who have voices within the scene are not trying to overhype T1 right now. I think most people are like, no, this team is less good than you guys think.
I think it's not the experts. I think it was like public sentiment. Public sentiment that just like look at the stats or maybe watch a game or two and they're like, holy shit, T1, like perfect season. They must be unstoppable. I think that's who it was too. But I agree to your point there, Monty, that I feel like a lot of the experts that have dove into the matches are like, oh, they're winning. They're the best. But like what Dom's saying, they're it's kind of flippy.
I mean, they have some very good early game set pieces, but I think also gen.g is a bad matchup for them because they basically prioritize different objectives where T1 is very first herald focused and
Yeah,
their set
give up
pieces
first
are
few drags.
yeah, they
all
always
time.
do that. And like the way they compensate for it is on soul point or soul itself. They oftentimes will try and force picks or not like force the advantage right before the spawn by having better setup in advance of the objective. They did that less well, I think, during the series, which partially is gen.g's strength, and I think partially was due to them being physically ill. I do think, though, that a lot of their set pieces are very, very difficult to counteract. One of the things T1 does well is show up very early for Herald. Korea often rotates early, and if he's not 6, he'll soak XP off the mid wave with Faker until he hits 6, and then they just go and contest the Herald almost immediately. They frequently have the priority in the top side. They are very dangerous at those fights overall. And then once they get the Herald, they can make decisions about how they want to accelerate the lane or punish cross-map plays. And this, to me, is the core strength of T1, alongside having very versatile compositions that kind of all do the same thing. And I brought this up before, but they typically play pick comps. They play with poke, a strong engage, and a reset champ. And so once they start to get an advantage in a team fight, it snowballs really fast. It's most of the time it's Jinx. And they are able to target select very quickly after getting poke damage down and engage. And this is their strength. But they have not for like the last half of the split really deviated from this style of play. And I think they can do other things, but you can see a pretty stark difference in the compositions that gen.g was using as opposed to T1 was using in this series. And the T1, you can't ban it out either. They've got too many variations on this that you just kind of have to deal with it. And they are very good at it, but you know what they're going to do. Like, they're not unpredictable. Let's put it that way.
I think it's pretty funny though that like the sentiment was so negative towards Munchables, where I feel like by definition, almost every team that gets this like best team in the world title is almost always overrated in spring. Like it's almost never that a team is appropriately rated by the community that's like the best team in the world in spring split. So for example, I'm thinking about like Damwon last year. I think Damwon had a significantly more convincing final in spring of last year compared to T1 winning this year. But like even compared to Damwon, T1, because they won those 2 extra series that Damwon didn't, even though Damwon didn't drop a game in playoffs, because T1 went 18-0 instead of 16-2 like Damwon, they're just the GOATs, right? Like they're just so untouchable. Like,
and literally that's a 2-game difference. That's a 2-game difference.
Yeah, but if you hear the narrative,
not even like, 2 match guys, it is also a 2-match difference, but it's also a 2-game difference.
Yeah, exactly. So essentially my point, and then one of like the matches that Damwon lost was to like Reddit Brian in the beginning of the fucking split, and everyone was like, what the fuck just happened there? And then everyone just like, no one even cared about that match. It wasn't like it was like, oh, that's like a brain fart, like a trap game. Anyone can fucking lose those types of games. Yeah. It's like when TL loses to like Immortals or some shit in LCS, or like if I don't even know who they fucking lost. They lost to FlyQuest, I'm pretty sure. Same type of thing. So to me, I think that they are by definition overrated, but they're still the favorites to win MSI. It's just that when you engage with fans, especially T1 fans, they are like so high on them that you can't even like mention that, oh, other teams are good. Like you can't even mention that an LPL team could win a best of 5 against T1. It's like, yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's like 90-10 between the first seed of Korea and the first seed of LPL if they meet each other in MSI. I'm not going to say it like that unless the tournament shows us something else and T1 actually starts cleaning up some of the things that they do poorly, because a lot of the games they have moments where you're like, this is a moment of vulnerability. If the enemy team plays properly in this section of the game, T1's going to lose this map, and then T1's going to have to like adapt as the game goes on. You see these moments of vulnerability. If a team still has those, I'm not going to say that they're just going to win 100% and like in future tournaments. And I've seen tweets like I've seen tweets be like, oh, well, congratulations on winning the 2022 World Championship, T1. Motherfucker, this was like February when I saw this shit. Like, come on. Like, we gotta let them play out the fucking season.
Also, I think the other top LCK teams with like one roster change could easily compete with T1. Like they're already close.
Yeah.
They're
Damwon
already
is
close,
good.
guys. Damwon's good. If Damwon actually if Noguri comes back, dude, Damwon's gonna be fucking terrifying.
Yes, bro. Damwon is fucking good. I still think Canyon's the best jungler. I'm just gonna say it. I still think Canyon's the best jungler. Like, I don't know. It could be really close. I mean,
maybe
I think
maybe Summit will go join Damwon, considering he completely is checked out of C9 right
Oh
now.
boy. Oh boy. Yeah.
Well, one thing that I thought was interesting in this series, the T1 Gen G series, was the strategy from Gen G. Like they ran the Ornn in game 1, which I really liked. I thought that was going to be the answer through the whole series. I thought that if you look at how the teams interact, you want Dorn being weak side into Zeus pretty much the entire tournament, like the entire series. You don't want to be playing these Akali, like even though they won the Akali versus Lucian game, I feel like that is just such a doomed situation to put yourself in. Like you don't want Dorn to have to play fucking Akali versus a range top laner.
He came back from a horrible scenario in the early game.
He was getting fucked.
He had to have some serious help and then like kind of outscale and get some kills, some pretty crucial shutdowns and skirmishes to even be relevant.
I just thought that was like a not great decision in prep.
What, Dom? You didn't like how in game 4, Peanut just sacrificed his entire jungle to fail gank for the Camille into the Camille Jace matchup, and then Owner just gets out of control in the Viego. That was my favorite part of the series, personally.
Well, I think also they were like so scared of certain picks, so they banned Lee Sin in game 1, and then Gen G decided to start picking Lee Sin. I assume that the reason they were prioritizing Lee Sin this highly was to get it away from Owner, because Owner is such a good Lee Sin player. And I feel like if you're going to like literally have Peanut playing Lee Sin just so he can get counterpicked every game by Viego, you might as well just ban Lee Sin and give yourself a chance on something else. Because to me, I just didn't like the problem. I guess the problem is then that because Gumayushi proved that he could play Caitlyn in game 1, and Hecarim is a must ban, and you always want to be banning Jace versus Zeus, you kind of run out of bans. But I would have said that like dropping the Kate ban and then banning Lee Sin, I think could have been a better situation for them throughout the series. I would have liked that adaptation more.
Yeah, Kate gets through that first game, and then after that, they didn't want to see any more of that. Doran goes 10 and 22 in the series. It was rough, and the only kills were on the Akali game.
Yeah, that's rough in a carry top meta. Dom, I think the issue with the dropping the Caitlyn ban is that T1 started banning Karma, and I think Gen G really was afraid of not being able to run Ezreal Karma into Caitlyn, potentially Lux. I think that was probably the fear.
I assume that that's what the fear is too, but I mean, this lane has an answer. Like Caitlyn Lux is a very fragile lane, and if you get Peanut on something that he's comfortable on, that he's more comfortable on than Lee Sin. I mean, I know he's a comfortable Lee Sin player, but let's say you get him on something that's better than Lee Sin in some of these games. Like for example, Volibear, which I thought looked really good in the first game. Like, hey, find some of these angles. You get a ganking jungler, you get an engaged support. I feel like you can punish this lane. Like you can make sure that the Caitlyn Lux does not get to just like free hit your turret.
Yeah, I do think though that it does somewhat sabotage, or it makes it makes it more difficult to execute Gen G's game plan, which is like start getting dragons at 6 or 7 minutes into the game. Like, I think they came in very specifically with that game plan based on the drafts and their movements on the map and what they were doing. And so I think that their main fear was getting shoved in early because their opinion of their win condition was early soul.
Yeah, I agree that their idea is that like, yeah, they need to get soul because obviously T1 gives up first 2 drakes and then goes Rift Herald all the time. So their mentality is like, oh, we'll just get the drakes for free. But I honestly feel like the drakes won't matter that much based on the comps that they're playing. So for example, in game 1, you don't need drakes when you're playing the Ezreal Victor Ornn side of this matchup. Like all they needed was fucking good mental in this game. They just needed good mental and to not fucking panic when they like started losing a couple skirmishes, because they like actually just outscale. Like Nocturne becomes worthless in this game.
They did overpress their advantage at times. Anyway, I think that's I agree about what the proper way to do this is. I'm just saying these are the things that I think they were considering and why I think the drafts shook out the way that they did.
You guys got me thinking, Dom, when you were saying T1 kind of, anytime a team is crowned the best team in the spring, it's usually they never live up to the hype. So I was actually looking through MSI at the teams that qualified on through per the region. Has there been a favorite that has ever held up to it? And it's maybe 2017 T1, who came in as a favorite. Yeah, I think that was the Huni roster. I'm trying to look for the rosters here. But yeah.
That was the Huni roster, 2017.
Huni roster, they beat a KT in the finals, and then it was G2, Flash Wolves, WE, TSM was the representative from NA at that time with Gigabyte Marines and Supermassive there. But that was really the last time.
And TSM barely made it out of group stage. Didn't they go to like 5 games with Gigabyte Marines? I'm pretty sure that was the MSI where they were like struggling to get out of the fucking like playing part of it. Yeah, it was nice. Good times. Correct. Good times.
I wanted to remind everyone here at Dexerto that we are trying to catch up to Astralis, because we're not the Astralis of content here. We're more of that fine one, almost like a rogue, maybe we could say, like we're that type of level, that type of tier of content here. So as you could see, we gained some subs from the last call to action to subscribe that we had here. 600 subs to be specific. They're on 11,700. We've moved up to 7,300. So we're almost there. Help us out. Hit the subscribe button and get more of the League of Legends content that you want here on the Dexerto League of Legends channel. All right. So with that, and also while you're at it, let us know if there is an MSI team that has lived up to the hype in the spring that has actually lived up to it. I guess it's the Team 1-1, but
yeah, I mean, I don't think it was like best team in the world, but I guess in terms of teams living up to the hype, 2019 G2 definitely lived up to the hype. Like that was they were really like that was people were saying like this is a super team, this is the best team Europe ever produced. Maybe people weren't going to say that they're the best team in the world at that point, because you've literally never been able to say that about a Western team up until that point, and then they ended up just winning the whole thing. So
I have to say that the 2020 MSI really lived up to the hype. We were really early on in the COVID
that was my
pandemic.
favorite one.
We're really early on in the COVID pandemic. Everybody was wondering, like, is COVID really going to be that big? Like, are they going to win? And COVID won in the end. So
yeah.
they're still winning.
MSI
they're still winning. They've been winning for years now. So that was that COVID. Thank you. You lived up to the hype, MSI.
There it is. Yeah. In case you don't understand that one, it was canceled. There was no MSI 2020. All right, let's.
This is a good joke, though.
I thought it was really good. That's why I needed to explain it to those that don't get it, because they need to know how great it was.
Oh, and yes, to explain my part of it, the reason why I said that's my favorite one is I'm notorious for hating MSI. I'm an MSI hater, just in case anyone knows.
What would you replace MSI with?
I mean, I would just like change the form. The problem for me for MSI is you just have to watch too many shit games with shit teams. Like, I don't want to watch. How many games do we watch?
Professional League of Legends.
No, but I don't even like. The problem is that the skill difference is way too high. There's too much skill disparity between the teams, right? So like, how many games of Pentanet did I have to watch? 18. I'm watching like 18 Pentanet games in one tournament on stream. It was actually ridiculous. Like, come on, guys, come on, like. There has to be a way where we can like we could kind of make it similar to Worlds, where there's the playing stage amongst like the wild card teams, and then we get more than 3 best of 5s between the actual teams that you want to watch. There has to be a way.
I mean, there is. It's just Riot refuses to do it.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
There we go. Thank you.
Whenever I say there has to be a way, it's more like, please don't ban me from anything else. But like, maybe someone can.
Not another ban for Dom. No.
Not another ban.
Not again. Not again.
Look. The way this is how it works. It's like when you have a child and you want them to feel like they came up with the idea, so that they're more incentivized to do it. That's kind of the way that I treat these situations. I'm like, there has to be something, but I can't keep up with it. And they're like, what about GSL groups? I'm like, GSL? What the fuck is that? Like, you came out, holy shit, that's amazing. This is the best tournament I've ever seen.
It's amazing that they could invent GSL groups without ever having heard of GSL and StarCraft. That's very impressive by them. You really incepted them well.
Yeah, exactly. Really impressive.
Great work, boys.
We did it. We fixed League of Legends esports.
Yep.
I will say, we won't have... I'm not defending it, because you're right. It's too many crap games. But we won't have the panic that we had in 2017. Gigabyte Marines beating TSM in the first game with that was the feed Levi, right? Levi was on the Nocturne and they just funneled him, and TSM just got bodied, and it was panic from there on out. But if only there was a way without having.
Well, I mean,
to watch
I think, and now the problem with this MSI is like, so the same thing happened where now there's a region that can't go. There might be two regions that can't go because Vietnam hasn't been able to come to an international tournament. Yeah, China might not even be. There's a world where if China doesn't go, it's like, please, man. Like, do I really have to watch T1 stomp like EU and NA? Like, if like LPL is the only hope that's gonna be able to like take down T1, right? So I mean, so Vietnam hasn't been able to go to a tournament for the last 2 worlds and last MSI as well. So that's 3 tournaments they haven't been able to go to in a row. I can't see them actually making this one. And then you also have like obviously LCL has literally stopped all operations. They're not going to have a team. So this means that we're going to get probably 2 potential teams in the Rumble stage that are straight wildcard regions. Like we're going to get like, what are regions with how many fans? I don't want to say Turkey because they'll get flamed, or Brazil. Okay, let's just they're like LLA or Japan. Yeah. I don't want to see OCE and LLA playing in actually not LA. There's too many Spanish fans. OCE in Japan. I don't want to see them in the Rumble stage. That's what I meant.
I tried to give us a lead that like won't watch this. And even if we get flamed, I can't comprehend kanji as much as like Osh English. Osh English still hurts the feelings. They still can do that. They still can watch this. I had a point here on this one, but I'm interested in, if we're just talking MSI just for another brief second, if those teams don't show up, because one thing that MSI and any international event does, it does give weighting towards the region's performance, which then leads to how many what pool they get, how many seeds they get, what pool of I guess talent, skill is it when they pick teams for Worlds, how it affects things. Like if this one's just not weighted, or if the teams that don't show up don't gain points and they're just averaged back. Like I'm interested in how that would work, because theoretically then NA hopefully would be able to raise their rating with a better performance, and some of the other regions also are able to do that, while Vietnam gets theoretically punished, as well as
all right, just enough. Just give China and Korea 5th slots, okay?
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Done.
Please. That'd be fucking hype. That'd be fucking hype. Look,
give them each 5. That would be rad.
I am so down to watch like Weibo, who's like finishing 5th, 6th in LPL, over the 3rd seed from NA, whoever it's going to be this year. Like if it's this version of Cloud9, please no, man, please. It's just too fucking bad recently. It's just, I can't even watch it.
No worries. I saw.
Who do you stream for, Dom?
Oh, I literally just I've been flaming them since I got signed. I actually got signed right when they were having that summer collapse, and I was just flaming the shit out of them the entire time. I brought Niski on like the stream, just flamed him to his face. Like, it was great.
Niski's such a champ. He does take that like great. Right in the chin whenever he does. Whenever things don't go his way. Okay. Well, with all that, let's move on to a region whose playoffs also had started and kind of are in a weird bracketed style. You got certain rounds starting at different times. On Friday, you had round 2. On Saturday, you had the semifinals. And then on Sunday, you had round 3. And of course, I'm talking about the LEC. We had a super team go down, and it was not G2. It was Vitality that got not 3-2'd, not 3-1'd, but swept across the floor by a G2 squad that ran straight through them, which then G2 also brought out the broom again, back-to-back brooms against Misfits as well for rounds 2 and rounds 3. Let's start with the Vitality series here, guys. They didn't look good, and what does this mean for Vitality with how high their expectations were?
Well, this was the weirdest series I think I've ever watched compared to like expectations. Like almost everything that you would think would happen going into the series didn't happen, which is so fucking weird. So like randomly, like Vitality's bot lane is popping off. They're like the strong point of the team. They're doing really well. Then you have all right. Instead of going into that, let's go from the beginning. going into the series, what you'd expect, and the reason why a lot of people were on Vitality's side, was that the reason why Vitality matches up well is because of the fact that Alphari is one of the top laners that can actually match Broken Blade. Like, they're both really good in lane, and that means that one of G2's biggest win conditions in BB and him just being able to like smash people into the floor is not available in the series. If you expect, like, if you go into a series and you have something like BB versus Herit, suddenly the whole game changes where it's like, oh my God, like the game is predicated on how fucking hard BB is going to smash Herit in lane. This is not the case for the Vitality matchup, or this is what you wouldn't expect to be the case for the Vitality matchup. Vitality's weakness, all split, was their bot lane. If you're talking about just like individual lane, like individual positions, their bot lane was just not good the entire split. So that's one where like you would expect it to be close. No one really like winning out by a lot. And then when it comes to like mid and late game, generally G2 made worse decisions with advantages. I mean, they threw versus Elder in the first Misfits game, almost lost the game off of it. Yet they obviously had the colossal throw the second time they played Misfits. And just in general, G2 is not good at closing out games with leads over the course of the split. But then you get into this series, and suddenly BB is just completely shitting on Alphari, like just dicking him completely, which doesn't really make sense if you follow Alphari's entire career up until this point. The bot lane of G2 is getting massacred by Vitality bot lane. One of the worst parts about Vitality in terms of gameplay was how their support and jungle interacted. And in the first game, you have Lebrov like roaming all over the map with Selfmade. They're making plays together. So it's like, where the fuck did that come from? And then when you get into like the mid and late game, Vitality's making like horrible decisions compared to G2.
This was the most confusing thing to me, was that the criticism of Vitality was it looks like they don't even talk to each other in the early game. They're unable to play around wave states. They have zero synergy on the map. And then somehow they team fight well enough in the mid to late game to kind of come back into games and win some of them, right? And it was the reverse here, where their early games were significantly better, but they played like absolute shit in the mid and late game.
So, I mean, so that's why this is such a weird series. Even though it's a 3-0 for G2, it's like the weirdest way that a 3-0 could have happened, in my opinion. Like, I could have seen a 3-0 if like Jankos was just like, they were like late invading, they're all over Selfmade. Selfmade's just not able to get any starts that's are reasonable. He's just super behind, and Vitality just crumbles like they normally do in the early game. G2 just gets so far ahead that Vitality can't come back. I could have seen that being a reality. Or like the Vitality bot lane is just like not really doing anything. They're just like even in lane, and then Targama starts roaming, Lebrov stays in lane, and suddenly there's just numbers all over the map for G2, and they open up advantages like that. The fact that the games went like this was like so fucking puzzling. It's like, how did both teams do everything that they were bad at well, and everything that they were good at bad, with I guess the exception of BB shitting on people, because that was like a constant. It just seems super, super weird. So I didn't really know what to make of this series, because I mean, even in the last game, right, it's like a 5k gold lead at 14 minutes for Vitality, and then they just like lose by making a bunch of weird decisions. It was really, really strange to watch.
I wanted to
which is why this Vitality team is never going to work.
Yeah.
I just think this team is broken beyond repair. At this point, like, I've seen it all. The one complete game that I've seen in the last couple of months from them was game 5 in their last series versus Excel. Like, the 5th game, I thought they actually played pretty cleanly, but every other game has just been some level of errors that are absolutely indefensible from a team with this level of experience.
That's what I was gonna ask, Monte. I was like, I wanted to pose the question: is this fixable? Like, can you do anything with it? And
nope. No, you cannot, sir. No, you cannot.
I mean, it depends on what fixable is. Like, how much are we talking about fixing it? Are we talking about fixing it to the point where they're a super team and one of the best teams in LEC? Because that's not happening with this roster. But I could see like this same roster playing a little bit better than they did in this series and actually making top 3 and potentially going to Worlds in summer. Like, all they need, like, if you look at this series, all they would have needed was Alphari to not get completely shit on by Broken Blade. And then they're probably good. And then like just the decent decisions late, like mid to late game. They didn't have to make some they weren't in points where like they had to come up with some genius strategy. They had clear advantages late game with comps that should be able to win. So to me, I feel like there's no team in like when I'm looking at Misfits, I think Misfits is just worse than them already. Like, I think Misfits would have lost to whoever won this series. they just don't look like they're prepared for a best of 5, and it's really easy to just target them, especially because their weakest 2 players. Well, I mean, here it's just not good, but like having a weak support in jungle is really bad for best of 5s.
Those guys choked on stage big time.
So, I mean, I think the Vitality could potentially make top 3 even with this roster if they just play a little bit better individually. But it's just, I don't think that they'll be good. I don't think they'll be as good as Fnatic or be able to like potentially beat them. They could be like a random EU team that gets third, gets into group stage, goes like 1-5 and just gets kicked out immediately. I could see that.
What's
I
the
don't think
move?
that's the ambition of this roster, though. That's the
Sure.
problem.
Yeah.
It's like they definitely have higher goals than that.
Yeah, because I think with those players that you have, that the ambition is higher. So do you take out a couple of the established players that makes those lofty goals as high, like an Alfari, or I assume that you continue to hold on to Perkz, but like
I think you take out Selfmade.
I mean,
honestly,
you have to take out Selfmade or Lebrov. I think the issue is that like Selfmade has way too high highs for like most teams to want to get rid of him, because you're always going to tell yourself, if you're on a team with Selfmade, what happens if the right meta comes? What happens if in fucking patch 12.8 Graves and Italy are just giga buffed and they are the best fucking junglers in the game? Oh shit, now we wish we had Selfmade on our team. Like if it becomes a jungle centric game like it was in season 10 when Selfmade was at his peak, he's one of the best junglers to have on your team. You'd way rather have him than Jankos in that type of meta, right? So you're always going to be telling yourself that. I think the most logical thing for me would be to replace the support with somebody who doesn't have the like mechanical highs, but that is known as like a smart player who's going to give direction to the team in the early game, that like knows like that wins the game differently than like how Lebrov wins the game.
We have the same idea, but I would rather have that person be the jungler. I'd rather have that person be like the Elyoya aggressive comms jungler that comes in, rather than have it come from the support position. Like you want core JJ, I want Elyoya for this team.
I mean, I think there's more opportunities to get people that have that like mentality right now. Like I don't know who would be the jungler with the brain to like make this team work right now in EU. Like who could they pick up? Like maybe somebody like Synchro. Well, I don't think Elyoya is going to be on the table. So
yeah,
I don't know. Seems like Mad Lions will put anybody on the table for the right price. I'm just saying.
Okay. I mean, I could see Elyoya, but I mean, Elyoya did kind of struggle in those same areas this split. So
I think that on this roster, he would be a lot better. He also went from humanoid to Reeker. So,
Yeah. But even like, I mean, independent of that, I felt like the decisions that he actually was in control of, like when it came to like jungle support interaction, which is I think Vitality's biggest weakness, was not a huge strength on Mad Lions. Like I don't think that Kaiser and Elyoya played well together.
That's fair.
This split. So for me, it's like I think Elyoya is good, but I think that like the difference between him and Selfmade, it felt like Selfmade even towards like the end of playoffs was actually getting better at like playing the fucking dog junglers and things like that. I just feel like what are the redeemable like what meta is Lebrov going to be good in? What meta, like, what is Lebrov's meta? I don't even know.
Play all the champs, Dom. It's fine.
Exactly. That's my fucking problem. Is that he plays everything and he never looks good. Like, he looked okay this series. This is probably the best series that he had, but it's still like not good enough,
I agree. I do think it's one of those two players that you just need somebody like you're saying to provide the early game shot calling, which I certainly agree with.
Yeah. Let's shift gears before we get back to G2 and their match on Sunday against Misfits and look at the all red side victory winners bracket finals to see who would be the big boss at the end of it. And it was 2-0 for Fnatic until Rogue. We really got to see the mettle of this Rogue roster. We got to see Larson shine. You got to see all these engage angles that Malrong was finding over and over again.
Wonderful.
It was very, very fun to watch. And then Comp really, dishing out the damage. Let's go there. Fnatic Rogue. Fnatic unable to close it out. What were your thoughts on this one?
You want to go, Monty?
Yep. I really thought Rogue came in with kind of a weird game plan that I'm happy they pivoted away from. I think that allowing support counter picks when you're blinding a Lulu is dangerous, and that Hylissang was able to punish that in the first game of the series. They really weren't operating with a lot of primary engage, and I think they had pretty significant comp weaknesses. And then compounding the fact that you gave Fnatic a 25-minute Infernal Soul in the first game of the series was obviously hugely problematic. However, even after that first game loss, I was still pretty confident that Rogue would win the series because they managed to drag that game out with serious deficiencies in their comp and play style for an additional like 16 minutes after the Soul.
Yep.
So the fact that they were able to like kind of almost succeed in knocking the square peg through the round hole, as it were, through some very clever positionings by Malrong, like you said, dGon, I think was a very positive sign for them. And then I think that once they made adaptations to the draft, and they were willing to give up the Twisted Fate, which could have backfired because the last time they played in a best of one, Humanoids TF just shit all over them. So it was certainly a risk. But selecting the red side, Larson, I think, was 1 and 2 all time on Sylas coming into this series. So it was obviously extremely unexpected that he would even pivot in this direction towards this champion. Was very good. And then Rogue had some really interesting early game tricks up their sleeve that allowed them to get enormous advantages that with these scaling compositions were very, very difficult for Fnatic to overcome. So I think Rogue looked good even in games that they lost, surprisingly, and were able to fight back in a tough situation that showed I think a mental strength that we haven't really seen from Rogue before. And the new players on this roster seem to be helping with that.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. The mental ability to come back from a 0-2. I mean, you would have never expected this with their former roster, so I think that that's a big positive. One of the consistent negatives for Rogue has always been their ability to like adapt drafts and just like be able to interpret what the enemy team is going for in a draft and then react to it. And I think that they failed at this really hard in game one. The enemy team already has Corki Jace. Like, I'm sure in their prep, they weren't expecting Humanoid to play Corki because he hasn't played much Corki in recent weeks anyway. But the fact that they actually went a Lulu instead of an engaged support there just shows how set they were on what comps they wanted to run.
It's a blind Lulu too, and you know Hylissang is weird shit, so...
Yeah, but I mean, even if it's not a blind Lulu, like the fact that the enemy team has Jace Corki, like, well, like you look at the enemy team, it's like, hey, this team has a lot of fucking poke. We probably need to engage on this shit. What's a good engager? Lulu. Boom, we got it. Like, we're gonna fucking win the game. That shit was just inexcusable. Like, that is just a horrible draft pick. I don't know how that gets through. I don't know how the coach even allows that. I feel like these are points where coaches really need to step in because there's times where like the players are just gonna miss things and they're going to be like tunneling on matchup or like their practice or whatever. And I feel like as a coach, this is where like you never want to overstep. Like if the players are like, I know, like, trust me, give me Lulu, we'll win this fucking game 100%. Like if your player says that, you just have to give him Lulu. Like that just is what it is. But I wonder if the coaches actually were able to like tell the player, it's like, okay, but like if you are going to go Lulu here, remember they have a ton of poke. So would you want to play an engaged support? Like I think a Leona or Nautilus could be good into what the enemy team has. So for me, I'm just like, how did the coaches let this happen? Like this is what your job is. Like you should be the one that's fucking stepping in right now and helping them.
So here's the weird thing, Dom. We saw Lulu in the G2 Vitality game too, but we didn't see it in any other games in any other region in playoffs. And so I think this is just one of those things that there's this weird like internal European scrim meta developing where like they are placing this priority on Lulu that no one else has discovered, and it doesn't seem particularly good.
Definitely not blind to Hilly, who punished them and made them pay. And going back to it, the engage was Malrong. Like we said earlier, go watch the LCK opener.
He did
watch these highlights
job.
from game one. It was crazy. It was crazy.
He did a great job in a very bad situation, but like he shouldn't have to be a fucking superhero to win that game. Like he is overcoming compositional deficiencies, and did he do an amazing job at that? Yes. Was it enough to win? No.
Yeah. So the other thing in game one that I wanted to mention was like how Fnatic didn't even recognize their own win condition, like which was poking, even when they had soul. So like they got the perfect soul too. They got Infernal Soul when they have a poke comp. Like that's really
at
fucking
25
good.
minutes. It's like right when you're coming online with a bunch of your items too.
Perfect. And you know what actually baited them into all these fights? The feeling that they needed to use the package for some reason. Like every time they got package, they're like, we have the pack. Like we got 1 minute on package. Start the fucking Baron. Where in reality, it's like, dude, your package doesn't matter at this point. Like put your fucking package away. Put it in your fucking pants, like humanoid. You guys.
I was gonna say, I feel the need to use my package, so I understand the urge.
Yes, yes, but at some points you can't use your package, Monty. This is how, like, well, I mean, it depends what company you work for, but you know, like, when you're playing this comp, you have to just sit there. Yeah, look, hey, I didn't say it. Monty said it. I might have set him up, but
that wasn't me either. It wasn't me.
It was dGon. dGon prompted us. He was the host. He wrote the joke actually in the script before the episode went live. But seriously, if you have your package, it doesn't matter there. Like you don't start Baron. You literally just poke them. You poke them with rockets. You poke them with Jace. They have no answer. What are they gonna do? Get Mega Gnar and then try to engage on you? Okay, he goes Mega. You back off. Then you like run back, you start poking them again, you hit enough poke, you land one good EQ plus one rocket. Oh, then you start Baron when they're too fucking chunked to be able to contest. It's not hard for Fnatic to win that game. So I think that was really, I mean, I think that game one was just pretty poor from both teams. But I think what's even worse was how Fnatic adapted to what was going on in games 3, 4, and 5 when they kept on drafting TF. They essentially played the same game 3 times in a row at the end of this like series. It was like, we're going TF. It's like, okay, well, like it's not working. No, we're going TF again. Okay, well, I mean, he answered with silence. He's had 2 good games.
I think a lot of that was weird shit that was happening in the early game that gave Malrong. I mean, Malrong had like 4 or 5 kills in early games in game 3 and 4. I think it's reasonable to assume if you're Fnatic, like, surely that will not happen again. That was a stupid, you know, we played stupid at level 1, or we played stupid in the early game and overdove, right? I think that it was reasonable to think like, okay, we're gonna have a normal kind of even early game state, and then we will be able to snowball with the Twisted Fate.
But they didn't even set, so the first game they go what, a Scion TF, which is like, okay, that's not how you play around a TF. Then the second game like, and the thing is what they're giving up to get TF. So it's not like they're just getting it. They're like, oh, a TF, like, okay, like that's still our good first. It's like you're giving them Hecarim, you're giving Malrong on red side his best fucking champion to get this TF, and then their whole game is banked on a level 1 invade. Which, when Odo was reviewing the games, he's like, yeah, I just knew that they were going to do this level 1 invade, so I just, like, sat bot lane and then just TP top because top lane doesn't matter. Because, obviously, the only way that this comp is going to work, the only reason that you're drafting Braum into Rakan here, or you're drafting Braum with the ability for the enemy team to pick Rakan, is so that you could do this level 1 invade, because Braum is obviously, like, a god in fucking level 1 fights. So,
well, as long as the top laner isn't randomly there on the other team, ready to shit on you.
Of course. But, like, we've seen... What they should know is from their scouting, they should know that Rogue knows how to defend Hecarim. Rogue did the same thing in the final fucking week when they played against G2. Jankos went for an early invade topside, and Trimby was just sitting there. He was just waiting there, and they just instantly fucking killed one of them. The Hecarim's just snowballed from the beginning, and it was the same fucking game. So they literally should be able in their prep to be like, they're actually pretty good about defending their jungle. Like and at least have that in their mind so they don't end up outmanned in a situation like that. And then in game 5, like, I feel like, okay, the TF isn't working. Why not just go red side? Red side is 4-0 in this series. Red side has won every fucking game. It seems like you're having better red side drafts right now. Why not just go red side either game 4 or game 5? When your strategy isn't working? Like, why run the same thing 3 fucking times in a row? I just think it's way too stubborn. I think it's way too stubborn, especially once they have the answer. Like, the Silas was working. You think Larson, how confident do you think Larson is when after just shitting on a TF twice with Silas,
he was 9-1-7 and then 10-1-10.
Okay,
in
so
games
think about
3 and 4.
Okay, so when he goes into game 5 and he's playing the same fucking matchup, how confident is that guy?
He's like, I'm 19-2 in the last 2 games.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think that it was that it's not about the level 1s. I think it's about the fucking draft and the decision to keep on staying on blue side. I think you go red side and you copy your bans from the first game. You try to like put them in another situation that's not optimal.
I really wonder if it's because Humanoid
I think he just wanted to play TF, and
he's normally a really fucking insane TF, and he's like, no, trust me.
I also think
he did the thing that you talked about during draft, except it was during side selection time. It was like, no, dude, trust me. 0-8 getting bodied by Malrong so early on. No. Like that's not gonna happen.
I do think it is easy to criticize in retrospect, Dom, but I think if you asked anybody at the start of this series and you said, Humanoid has to win 1 out of 3 games on Twisted Fate in this series, do you think he will do that? I think all of us would have said yes. He'll win 1/3 of his TF game.
Sure, but like that's not what the actual question is. The question is if you then like, because you're not going into the series like, oh, is he going to win 1 out of 3 games? Like that makes it sound like all 3 games are like just in isolation, different points. Maybe he like plays 1 in game 1, 1 in game 3, and then 1 in game 5. Like
no. But I'm not justifying it. I'm saying that this is a mentality that he's going to have going into that final game. He's like, surely I can't lose again, right? On this, my signature pick.
And my point is like, it's not just that you lost. It's like you just lost twice hard and they're so fucking comfortable answering it. Why not just go red side? Why not just select red side in this game?
He doesn't want Larson to have TF, I think.
I mean, I feel like he should be comfortable on both sides of that matchup. And also, I feel like TF generally would suit Rogue worse with how Rogue plays, because one of the things that you want when you draft TF is a volatile top lane carry-based matchup so that you can visit the lane with your TF and you can get that snowball character going. That's why like TF Camille is so popular. I feel like Odo is like one of the worst players to have your strategy be like, oh, just fucking kill this guy in lane. Like Odo's the guy that will just sit there with Ornn and like dive me. I'm ready. Like I am expecting to be dove. Like he loads into the game. He sees the wave stacking. He's like, yep, I'll give up 8 waves if I have to. I'll fucking die on this wave and TP back if I have to. He's so comfortable just getting completely like smacked. Like he's not gonna fucking lose the series by getting TF ulted on. And after those 2 games, I mean, my point is by game 5 something needs to change. I think you change side selection with how games 3 and 4 looked.
Well, we're likely to see this series again, so we can enjoy what happens. I think it's going to be a really interesting final because I feel like this was such a weird series for all the reasons that we've stated that almost any outcome could happen in these finals.
Well, I mean, I think one thing that we're going to see over time is the priority of red side change. I think that is something that we can definitely see, because like if you look at the T1 games, Gen G, when they lost, selected red side, and T1, who had side selection for the series, started on red side. So teams are selecting red side. It's not like the mentality in every region is like, no, blue side is super fucking OP. That's how teams thought originally, and now as things have progressed, people are going on red side more often. They're choosing red side more often.
Well, to be fair, after the first loss, Gen G did pick blue side. And then T1 picked blue side.
I do remember looking that one up. Wasn't it 50-50?
And then,
T1 started on red. T1
started on red. Gen G then chose blue. Then T1 chose blue. And then Gen G chose blue.
Oh,
so they were switching to blue side after game 1 for the choice.
Okay, all right. But I mean, still, like the point stands that teams are selecting red side. Like T1 came into the series thinking that red side was better.
Last series to talk about here in Europe before we go into predictions. Misfits G2. Misfits, obviously, Monty, you highlighted
there's nothing to say here. I don't even want to talk about this. Here it got smashed. Zlatan and Mursa still had nerves. VTO almost managed to make a comeback with Vex in game 1. Otherwise, they just got pooped on, and that was the end of Misfits. They completely mental boomed on their rookie players on stage during the playoffs. Here it still underperformed, and they made their fans sad. End of story.
Number one, I would contest that they don't really have fans. And then also, I think this is just like
no one was sad.
Yeah. So no one was sad. Perfect. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I would say that like this was like choking compared to just not being good enough. I mean, Zlatan was like a Lee Sin one trick, and then teams just banned Lee Sin from him, and it's like, oh shit, he's looking like he did when he played Xin Zhao and stuff. Like he just looked like the same exact player. So yeah, I don't think that it's I mean, I think it was foreseeable that Misfits was not going to win one series the entirety of playoffs.
Okay, we're done. Fix your problems, Misfits.
There it is, Misfits fans. I got it for
or don't. When VTO's a free agent, somebody else will pick him up and he'll be on a good team. It's fine.
That
Actually,
leaves us
Monty
with
wants.
Two more. Jeez, that leaves us with two more best of fives: Fnatic G2, Rogue, and winner of that for the in-person. Right? I think they're in-person semifinals and finals for the last series here.
Yes.
Audience going to be a factor. We've seen it be a factor. I guess for the LCS at least. But what do we got here? What are you looking for in this Fnatic G2 matchup? Another matchup of the Classico that we saw earlier.
I don't know. I still have a problem seeing how G2 wins. Like, I don't really know how G2 wins because, I mean, it's up to BB again. Flocket has been playing better for sure. But I mean, I like, unless Hilly just has another fucking terrible series, which he had versus Rogue, and I mean, he kind of had a bad series versus G2 the first time, and it wasn't enough. I think it's really hard to see G2 winning because I feel like G2 generally does struggle around objectives, where like Fnatic and Rogue are just significantly better than the other teams in Europe when they get in a fight around an objective this far, at least. So I don't really know how G2 can win unless they all show up like super, super well.
I think G2, if we look at the pick and ban in the first series, they gave Humanoid LeBlanc every single game, which I think was a very big mistake throughout the course of the series. But the problem is that G2 cannot play any of the power picks in this meta because they're banning TF, TF, Zeri, and Caitlyn on blue side. So what the fuck are they going to do if they can't play any of the top picks in the meta? And the answer is they're going to let things like LeBlanc through. So they need to be able to play good champions. And it seems like
I assume they're going to let TF through based off how Fnatic just looked.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if that's going to be, do them any favors. I think that I think they're just choosing a different way to get shit on. But I just think they don't really have a complete champion pool for the meta, and their bans are really suspect, and they're going to let some level of power pick through to Fnatic, who will be able to destroy them with it.
All right. There's our prediction there for the semifinals. And I guess our coverage here on the LEC for the last week, a lot of matches, some surprises, and just a big explosion.
But it's going to be a Fnatic versus Rogue finals. I'd say Rogue 55% to win that one. Fnatic could definitely make adjustments and come back. That's hard to call.
I expect Fnatic to win, actually.
What percentage?
I would go like 60-40. I think Fnatic is still decently favored. I mean, I think that there's a lot of ways they can get an advantage. I think one of the easiest ways they can get advantage is just if they counterpick support, because they're letting like Rakan through every single time to Trimby, and they're giving him like good matchups on it. But it's like, what happens if Hilly just takes Rakan? Like that's what like every playoff series that I've seen Hilly in like the last 5 years, it feels like it always just devolves into him blind picking Rakan. And if you watch LEC, the Rakan priority goes from like being like, it's a 5th pick counter pick. It's like, well, you can play it if Nautilus is banned, and then it's like first pick Rakan. Like we will first pick.
We saw that in LPL that was happening in the playoffs this last week. It was like the Rakan priority was like rocketing up.
That's what happens every time in LEC. It's like, what happens if this just happens and then like you have to deal with like Hilly's fucking like crazy ass Rakan, like, and he's on that instead of Thresh. I think that Thresh doesn't suit Hilly at all. I think that these champions that he's super special on, like either just engage supports, I'd rather see him on. Braum, if they're playing an engage support, I think that could work, but I don't want to see like blind pick Brahms. And then like Pyke, if they pick a match, I mean, Pyke can be his Thresh answer. Pyke could be even one of his answers to engage supports himself. I just feel like if Hilly is getting counter pick, you're normally going to be in for a good time. Or if he's just getting a champion that he's insane on. I trust Hilly to play a bad matchup like Rakan into Nautilus or something.
I think Rogue realized that, though. That's one of the reasons why they were prioritizing red side later in the series, because they picked Rakan R5 every single game that they won in the last 3.
Exactly.
So I think, it would require, it's clear, I think, that Rogue knows that, so it would require them to also, Fnatic to select red side. But here's the thing. They're going to be coming in at best as the lower seed in the draft, which means that Rogue can pick red side first game and try and get 3 red side games at minimum. So it might be tough.
So I think if they only counter pick like I think you can just ban the Rakan, but I think that the thing that if they early pick Rakan, I think that that's going to serve.
Sure.
My point is that if Fnatic early picks Rakan like they have in previous years, I think that could serve them well. And then I think they have actually good answers to Rakan. So if the Rakan priority rises, one of the things that Hilly plays really well is the Zillion support answer to Rakan. That I feel like they're better at that side of it. And then if like all these champions are removed, I think that Hilly's champion pool is generally better. So I just like, I think if Hilly is playing a good series and he doesn't become a massive liability, they don't have this really high thresh priority that they had before, I think that it's significantly better for them.
I was looking up the champion stats here for Trimby, what else he played. So mostly Rakan in this spring, but then Nami, Lux, Janna, you know, stuff that gets wrecked by Rakan. Maybe not the Janna. Janna is okay, but that was different meta. Okay. LEC, done and dusted. Let's move on to LPL, where we were seeing a little bit more of the Rakan priority. In the first series that we saw, LNG and Top Esports, that one was the quick 3-0. Both Awandi and Mark played it in that one. We got to see some vintage Jackie Love in it. We got to see dGon fall short with the squad, and we got to see great Gragas ults by Wayward in the first game. He was spot on.
That was really fun to watch.
Over and over again in
But
just
also,
like really
Ale was
exciting spots.
terrible.
Yeah,
So,
Ale was really bad.
it was I had, one part of me was really happy to see a lot of that, and then another part was like, Ale is like walking up by turret when he sees the Q cask on the ground on the minions, and then he just doesn't think that he's going to get ulted into that turret, and the minion wave immediately destroyed. It was a good play by Wayward, but at the same time, it was just such ridiculous overconfidence from Ale on what I thought was quite a predictable play. So very disappointing performance overall from Ale, like blind picking the Fiora in game number 3, which he has done. I mean, I haven't watched a ton of Ale play, but he did do that at Worlds, if I'm remembering correctly as well.
Did he blind pick it?
I think he did.
Oh. I thought it was an
at Worlds? Or you
No,
mean like this series? This series he blind picked it because Wayward picked the Graves into it.
Yeah.
Oh.
He did blind pick it in the third game.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I mean, that's actually a good matchup. I'm surprised that they ended up picking the Graves into, or it's not a good matchup, but I think that it's something that people are okay with. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they were just trying to get people on comfortable champions. I thought the person that stuck out the most to me was Tarzan, because all has been like hit or miss this season, but I was really surprised at how bad Tarzan was in this series. I feel like he should have just been better. And then like, I mean, his builds, like champion picks, it's like, I mean, you're going like what, a Bomby Cinder item on Xin Zhao. Like, how are you going to be useful, man? Like, you're really, and this is like nerf Xin Zhao too. Felt like they were so ready to lose, but yeah, it's kind of sad that this LNG team turned out as it did, because I don't know, you just like wouldn't, when you look at the roster of players, you would expect that they would just be better than they were last split, right? Like they replaced their weakest player in Icon, or arguably their weakest player in Icon, with dGon, who was the best mid laner. I mean, he was MVP last year in LPL. So the fact that it turned out so terribly is pretty concerning.
Yeah, and coming into this series, Top Esports was the lower seed. They had to play against Billy earlier and dispatch them, so you were expecting LNG to get a win or put up a fight, but in this series, not a lot of footing for them to do so at anywhere. dGon as well. Couple games of Rise. Yeah, they stayed on the blue side the whole time. Couple games of Rise, one Karma game.
Karma game was horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't great. They lost that one 21-2. Just in case you didn't watch it, I
didn't enjoy Wayward just like mouth ulting light on Jinx over and over and over, and just
yeah.
Yeah, this was not a great series, guys. Probably would not go back and watch this one if I were you.
They got shit stomped.
This one's a skip. But that means that Top Esports makes it to the top 6. They make it through the gauntlet into the double elimination, or top 4. Sorry, they make it to the double elimination bracket portion of the tournament here. So they joined V5 and RNG. The other team that needed to do so was going to be either Jindong Gaming, JDG, or Weibo Gaming. And Weibo Gaming coming off their victory over EDG. And this one went all 5 here, Dom. And it was... I'm not gonna lie.
It's kind of a fiesta.
It was
Yeah.
another series that I loved. A lot of fighting, a lot of.
I mean,
crazy.
look, it was fucking weird. Like Veigar was like an ultra high priority pick because they were playing it into Ari so that they could like zone the
Shirelia's
Ari
every
out
game.
with what?
With Shirelia's every game from Angel, he was just on the build. Guy just loves the item, I guess.
I like he's like Predator isn't enough. It's time to Shirelia's.
Yeah. And then he's going like
he's just all in on this shit. I get it as trying to contain the Ari. You do have, I guess, synergy with the Gnar as well if you're playing that composition. There were some weird picks. 369 on the old Kale in the top lane. SOFM pulls out the Jungle Zed into the double AD composition of Lucian and Aphelios from 369 and Hope on JDG. Which, I mean, I guess I see the theory of it, but it requires like a lot of farming and virtually no early presence in order to function. So it seems dangerous when you're playing into a Volibear that can have a lot of effect on the early game.
Yeah, I mean, he has a distinct advantage. Like, so it's like your ganks are not as good as the Volibear's ganks, but you like Zed still has one of the absolute best jungle clears out of any champion. Like he like full clears fast as fuck. Because you get multiple passive procs. It used to be that you only get one passive proc when a camp is under 50% HP. Now you just get perma passive proc. So like jungling Zed, you get the camp to like under 1,000 HP, and you like just are dealing like 700 damage in auto. It's fucking insane. So the clear is still really good. He's played it before in LPL. He goes the Stridebreaker build. It's consistent. He's just been doing that the entire time. And he plays it more like in a bruiser style than just most other people play.
I think it was very interesting into double AD carries as well, and especially because the Veigar is not really going to be able to lock you down. So the only thing you're super concerned about, I guess, is Nautilus ult. So you definitely have like a pretty superior mobility advantage playing into this composition. But there were some pretty serious early game deficits that really prevented the Weibo Gaming composition from coming online.
The Shy,
The Shy fucking sprinted it.
Three deaths in 12 minutes for the Shy in a Lucian Kennen matchup. There was not a lot of coming back from that one.
I mean, he was like fine at a point too, and then he just like forcefully sprinted it. It's like his team came to help him up, and then he just like runs into the whole enemy team, just like, we're killing this Lucian, and then suddenly him and Angel are both dead. Oh shit. So I guess we just lost them. We just lost the game to Shy. So this was a classic The Shy series. I mean, I got this is how it's looked for the last like 3 years now watching LPL, and you're just ready for it if you're watching enough of The Shy. It's coming. It's always coming.
Too funny.
It was a couple of 3 or 4 man dives on the top side of the map by JDG on Weibo with I think On was there, and I think SOFM was there one time, but like it didn't matter. And after that lane was kind of screwed. So as much as the jungle clear is fast, can be fast for Zed, the lanes didn't hold up, and this just didn't really get off the ground. So.
Yeah. He would have literally been fine in this game if his team just didn't completely sprint it when they defended the top dive. Like the top dive actually was successful for them. Like they lived. Nice. We won the situation. Like the Volibear died, and then they just completely sprinted it, and then the game was just
I think it was
over.
I think what was funny from the JDG side is like they never saw a fight they didn't like in this entire series. It's like we got the objective. Should we calmly walk away even though we're going to outscale them and we just stop the dragon stack? No, we should definitely fight them right fucking now. I was like, stop, please stop.
That's LPL right there. That's what I love about the region. They just will not back away from a fight.
It's not all the teams.
The alpha male meme.
Not like every single time, no matter what, they were in there.
Yeah, JDG is always that team. I mean, they're a Kanavi centric team, so it was pretty interesting. I mean, I think the story of the series was the Veigar, like we talked about. Obviously, different builds that we saw. We saw the Shirelia's every game. Like this is just
Shirelia's Predator, Unsealed Spellbook on the other side. It was weird. It was weird.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed like a good answer into Ari, and yeah, I mean, the Veigar in game 5 was finally taken down. It was finally defeated in game 5. So, overall, I mean, it was really interesting. Like, the thing about that I like about LPL is that people are willing to like try different shit. So it's like you get a lot of like variety in how people play, and like just even like rune setups and things like that. So in the last 2 games, you have the Ignite Frostfire Gauntlet Hecarim coming out from SOFM, as opposed to like what everyone goes, which is like Chemtank Ghost. I think the Ignite was actually good. I didn't like the Frostfire Gauntlet, but I thought the Ignite, he got 2 really good ganks off at level 3, just doing like substandard pathing, because people are expecting right now Hecarim to full clear like almost every game. That's just what's in players' mentality. Oh, they have a Hecarim, he's starting bot side, okay, he's gonna full clear top side, he'll be here like full clear to 310. So the fact that SFM did like a mid gank, like no one is expecting a fucking Hecarim mid gank at 3 minutes, like, or at 2:30. No one's expecting that shit. With Ignite, like, it's suddenly a kill. And the top gank, like, dude, he was going for ganks that have really, 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 really high risk involved with it. Like, if you fail this top gank in game 4, we go level 3, Ignite gank top side. So you start on your blue side. So your blue side in game, you start on your blue side, and then you run top, and your whole bot side is up.
He cleared the 3 camps on blue side and then started ganking, right? I'm trying to remember this properly.
Yes.
Because it was like actually hilarious that he would just like clear blue, gromp wolves, and then just run into a lane.
Yeah. And I mean, it worked both times. So I was like, oh shit, SFM's going to carry this game. Then he just got killed on his Raptors, greeting for Raptors, because SFM can't give up farm. And then the game was over. So yeah, unfortunate, unlucky. We'll get him next time, Weibo. All good.
Do you like this Weibo team? Because they seem just like this whole series was really insane to watch.
I mean, I don't really like them. Like,
who do you really like?
Who do I really like? I mean, I like V5. I like Rookie. Like, I've always been a Rookie fan. Like, even when he was on IG, I was like a huge IG fan. I like them. I like EDG still. I feel like Flandre is committing some absolute crimes top lane right now. He is just fucking, like, he is so reported every game. But I mean, I still think the team has it in them. And then RNG is like always fun to watch. So I guess those would be my 3 favorite teams: the EDG, V5, RNG.
I do find it hilarious that EDG has to pick between Xiaozheng, the Silas only top laner, and then
Flandre.
Yeah.
It's a tough time.
Flandre just, I don't know. I don't know what went on with EDG. I mean, I assumed that they obviously took the longest break. They didn't compete with their main roster in Demacia Cup, and they probably just thought they would get it together a lot quicker. But yeah, it's kind of sad that they just got knocked out like 7th, 8th. Like a world champion team with 0 roster changes going out 7th, 8th in LPL. I mean, just how it is. Like, if you don't bring it, you're getting fucking kicked, because there's a lot of strong teams. Like, the thing is, it's like when you look at other regions, like if you look at like LCS or even LEC, like you can't really see like an XL or a Misfits like really like starting to knock out teams. But in LPL, it's like those like fringe teams that are not the best but are normally like pretty good. Those teams can just like, they'll just murder you if you're not bringing it. So you actually have to like stay with it, and this has been a consistent theme of the region, which is why like it's so fun to watch.
With that, we've got 2 more series to play through here.
And we haven't seen
on the
2 of these teams in playoffs yet, which is very exciting.
The 2 best ones, V5 RNG, seeds 1 and 2, and now it's a double elimination bracket, as we've said, from here on out. So if V5 or RNG lose, their series isn't over. We've seen this happen multiple times, as Dom has highlighted every episode when we talk about this pretty great format that the LPL has. It's a grind, but it does ensure that you get an advantage for being the best in the league. Plus, you have extra teams, way more teams than any other league, and you ensure that the best team in form at that time will move on to MSI and win the championship.
Double limb, really important.
And V5 top
just for
esports,
people that,
RNG, JDG.
Yeah, and for people that aren't aware, like that haven't been keeping up with LPL. The last 2 champions of LPL, which are RNG and EDG, lost this round. Like, they got smacked in this round. And they ended up running the gauntlet, like running through the losers bracket and winning the whole thing. So FPX came in from the winners bracket both times. I think RNG got 3-0'd, I believe, in spring split. People were just counting them out. They're like, oh, they got 3-0. There's no chance they can actually beat the team
got
that just
3-0'd
3-0'd
as well.
EDG went 3-2, I believe.
Oh, was it?
3-2 to WE. Yeah, I think it was 3-2.
Okay.
So JJ played like the first 2 games. He was just getting hard shit on, and then they brought in their sub jungler. Their sub jungler, and he ended up actually doing pretty well. And now he plays for RA. So yeah, he hasn't really been getting much time, but yeah, he got signed by RA.
These matches will be played early Friday, so Friday morning, depending on where you're watching
And
at.
Saturday,
But it will be
and Saturday
Friday morning and Saturday morning, correct? And then that's what it'll be. Is this one more match afterwards too?
It should be the losers bracket match after that.
Yeah, so the losers bracket match will be on Monday morning, so you get your Sunday back. But they're grinding through these games to make sure that their finals on Sunday the 17th will be ready to go here in the LPL. If you have to watch, go watch V5. Rookie's so fucking good. All right. Time for everyone's favorite league, everyone's favorite fiesta. Let's do it. We've waited and kept it till the very end. LCS time, Cloud9, and I don't even remember.
Do I have to? Why do you make me
Thieves.
do this, dGon?
You gotta do it. You gotta do it. People want to see this. This is the Monty that they want to see. When something like this goes catastrophically wrong, they want to hear Monty's take on it. They want to hear Tom's take on it. So let's start there. Cloud9, number 2 seed. 100 Thieves, number 3 seed. Last time that they played, 100 Thieves won. Going into it, and it was nice. I actually had an interview with Berserker afterwards, and he seemed good spirited still about it. They get 3-0'd. They get bodied. I think LS has now tweet of the year candidate so far, with the Will Smith slapping the shit out of Renekton. That was a pretty good one. Renekton in games 1 and 2 for Summit, and everyone's pretty clear favorite of MVP looked very, 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 very bad. Very bad. Warding in the wrong spot, pushing all the way. But he wasn't alone. The team didn't look great as well. But might not be a team execution thing, might be a draft thing. Let's go. How did y'all feel about that first series that we had in the LCS?
I mean, it wasn't much of a series. Like, I think that this is just what every team's gonna do. They're going forward until the team shows that they can do something. When Jace and Gnar are banned, and like, so they're even going with the Kennen ban too. They're just like, he can't play any of his champions. I mean, if no team can, if C9 can't answer it at all, and every team just gets away with banning top laners like 1, 2, 3. I mean, look, yeah, C9 doesn't deserve to win.
Here's the truth: people are gonna shit on Summit. Why can no one else on this team carry this fucking team when they have blue side and the bans are Gnar, Jace, and Kennen? Why is that? They get the Zeri, right? Winsome did not have a great series either, but they get power picks on their blue side, and they can't do shit with it. And the answer is the answer is obviously Summit's champion pool is extremely limited right now for whatever reason, or he is forcing the team to play these champions, because people like to blame the coaches, but you can't just make a player pick a pick unless you want to tilt them off the face of the earth. So Summit has agency in the picks that he is making for sure. Perhaps too much agency, you might say. But to blame the draft on the coaches, I think, is kind of weird when you are ostensibly getting power picks on the blue side and are utterly incapable of doing anything with them. Like, you should not be able to ban 3 top laners on the red side and do well in the draft. They shouldn't be able to happen right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think game 1 is Summit's fault for sure. Like, he's just dying to like everything. It's like, come on, man. Like, you're playing like you got.
He's tilted out of his fucking mind, dude. I think this roster is just done.
From just like, he's tilted out of his mind from what? Just the bans?
No, from whatever is happening within C9. There must be something weird going on, because this is not normal. Like, everything about this series is highly abnormal.
Yeah, I mean, even week 8, like, they look the same.
Yes, I know. There's something going critically wrong that we cannot see from the outside right now, because it's the only thing that explains the combination of very bad teamwork, weird ass picks, like this level of falling off a cliff hints that there is something like deeply broken within this team, from a mentality standpoint.
Oh.
And I just don't think there's going to be coming back from that. It looks like Summit doesn't give a fuck about being here. And his teammates can't even play around him properly either. Like, you could blame Summit for a lot of these deaths. They were stupid. But at the same time, like, his team is doing stupid things at a macro level. They know he doesn't have TP in the third game of the series, and they're trying to make cross-map plays while Someday has TP at 14 and a half minutes of the game. All Someday has to do is just TP behind the wave while they're trying to dive the bot turret, and then they just get crushed. It's like, Summit can't be there. It's after 14 minutes into the game, so you have Unleashed Teleport now. Like, they just are playing bad independently of Summit. Summit had nothing to do with that play.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's weird. Also, like, Blabber just doesn't, I think
he wasn't covering for Summit either. He wasn't covering for Summit was Summit stupidly pushing lane when he didn't have cover? Sure. But also Blabber wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really weird, and the drafts don't really make much sense, because I mean, the thing that's so strange to me is, like, it seems like they were all on the same page. Like, Fudge was always in LS's corner with pretty much everything. Like, Renekton's a bad champion. Like, fucking Biscuits are terrible. Like, and then you just see that the team is drafting Renekton. It's like, wait, Max Waldo, like, something is, it's really weird for me, because I've, like, interacted with, like, I've had discussions on draft with LS and Max Waldo in the same call, like, during Worlds, and it seems like they agree on everything, or it seems like they used to agree on everything. So how does it then go to, like, this is like
it's Summit, dude? It has to be Summit, right? It has to be Summit. So Summit just thinks
Renekton is fucking good. So Summit's like, oh, give me Renekton.
Yes. What other explanation is there, unless Max Waldo has completely changed his mind? I mean, exactly. I mentioned this on Summoning Insight as well, but one of the big issues that I see here is that Summit is older than Max Waldo, which is a massive issue in Korean culture, that the head coach should be younger than the top laner. So, in cultures that have very strict age hierarchies, I don't think Summit's ever going to respect Max Waldo, frankly. Like, it...
Yeah.
Maybe, like, why would he? Like, seriously, why would he? He's several years younger than Summit is. Summit has been a decorated top lane player. Max Waldo has never been a professional player. He's not old enough to provide maybe the necessary, like, team personality support or interference. Honestly, Max Waldo, even if he was capable of doing that, he doesn't even speak the language of 3 of the players on his team. So how is he going to do that?
I mean, I wonder, I feel like this is actually, like, a huge thing where, like, a coach needs to bring the team together. When the team starts falling apart like this, I feel like you just have to be like...
Max is 21 years old, dude. He's not going to do that. Like, I hate to be a dick about it, but he just doesn't have the life experience to be the emotional manager of a roster.
I will say,
and he wasn't. To be fair, he wasn't supposed
like
to
the type
either.
of person that would do that.
Right.
He's also not the type of person who would do that. Beyond that, but he's a young guy, and it's not a knock against him. He wasn't supposed to be the head coach of this team, but he has been thrust into a position that, in terms of language, in terms of culture, he just was put up shit creek without a paddle. Basically, I feel bad for him.
Couple things. One, I did get to see Cloud9. Actually, both rosters, when we were over at the studio before the series started, they were loose. Everyone was fine. Summit came up to me and said hi. That doesn't normally happen. I'm like, hey, do you remember who I am? Okay. But he said hi to me. So I felt like he was... Like, everyone was loose, Fudge. Yeah. Everyone was loose.
I'm sure
except Winsome.
Man.
Winsome was nervous. Winsome was nervous.
Bad.
Winsome was walking around by himself.
Winsome has been playing bad. Like, he's been probably the worst player, but it's just like you kind of expect him to be the worst player. So
he's never played in front of a crowd before. There's another factor for you. Like, Winsome's a young guy. He hasn't played on stage. He hasn't played in front of a crowd. The nerves are you have to take that. I mean, I'm sure Summit's happy, dude. He's like inting his way back to Korea, man. He's gonna be on like fucking Gen.g or Damwon soon.
Yeah, the energy.
I think he's not gonna spend the year. I feel like he's just gonna stay. I don't know.
I don't know about that one either. The energy at the stadium was electric. that first day. It was very,
It was
very,
very
very
fun.
big. So I can see that affecting Winsome. I had an interview with
God, I can't even
Berserker after the
imagine.
series.
Like, I can't even imagine what the last 2 years were like for competitive play. Because like my whole career, I played in front of crowds. Like I never
Yep.
played
It
fucking
was
LCS
it was
from home.
eerie.
Like that's so weird to me.
They turned the audio off in the stadium. So like when normally for fans that have never been to an in-person event, they have the audio on for the fans, so you can feel the bass, you see the lights kind of happening and stuff. Like once they take the objective, but since then, it's just been game on, light dims a little bit, silence. You can hear like there's white noise in the
To be clear,
headphones.
you're saying before the fans were back.
Yes, before the fans were back. Yes, so when there
Not
was
that
no one
you
in
were
the
sitting in
studio.
like a silent arena with fans cheering. Like they
No,
turned the
no, no,
sound
no.
on back. Okay, great. Okay,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to be
Yeah.
clear.
So it changes the way that it feels on stage. Even just being on stage was different. And then there's a whole level of here's the bass, here are the fans, and invade is coming. You can hear the fans go, oh, like people talk about that. Even though you can't fully decipher what they're saying or what's going on, you know something is going on. And that kind of environment could
as a player,
definitely play a part
fans
there.
spoil everything. Like as a player, you just literally just learn you get so much more information when fans are there.
By the way, booths are illegal according to Riot, so we can't ever fix this problem, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, I played a tournament. You can go back and find it in season 2 where we played in regionals. So it's like this is like the tournament to go to Worlds in season 2. And the announcers literally said, Nintendo is going for a gank top. And then I literally just stopped pathing butt and I just path top and counter gank. And we just like win the whole fucking game. And it's like, you're going to Worlds. And I'm like, yeah, we did it. We did it. I'm going to Worlds. Like, it's so fucking troll. It's so fucking troll playing in front of like.
By the way, in
Playing
Korea,
LCS.
it's still, just like Riot hasn't learned about GSL groups yet, Riot has not learned about booths, even though they were literally in a Riot tournament, which is the LCK Finals this last week. And every pro player I have ever spoken to prefers to play in booths.
I like playing.
You played in booths at MLG, Dom, if I remember.
Yeah,
correctly.
and in when I was in OGN.
Korea.
Yeah, and
Korea.
when I played in Korea, I played in booths.
The most we've gotten in North America.
They're like comfortable too. Like, and you don't get to smell the BO from the fans. Like you're just in your own little
they
fucking
have their
zone.
own like, air conditioning system.
Yeah, like a little air conditioning. Like it just feels it's more comfortable, just having that separation.
The most that we've gotten
going into
in
the
North America
womb
is the
with
shell.
5 other dudes.
Yeah, going into the womb with your teammates.
The 2016, the 2016 finals, right? That was like the shell in Staples Center that they gave SKT, but no fully enclosed booths that prevent the sound from getting on in. The other thing that Berserker said in his post game interview was that they felt like they didn't have a problem with the draft, which is why they ran it back in game 2. Like
I did love seeing the exact same composition twice in a row, and 100 Thieves almost having the exact same composition twice in a row, as if there would be some sort of difference.
Yeah. It was the same comp for Cloud9. And they thought, according to Berserker, they thought they would just execute it better, but that wasn't the case, unfortunate, I believe.
Surprise!
Is what he said. And then the last thing here, fun dGon stat of the week. We got to see Renekton twice from Summit in that playoff series. How many games of Renekton did Summit play in the 2022 spring split?
I don't know, probably like 85. I mean, this guy like literally finds like 2 champions and plays them the whole split. So I'm gonna guess like 73.
I don't
games.
think so. Just in spring?
Just in spring, because
73 games
wasn't
in
here
spring.
playing.
2?
Thank you, Dom. Answer there, 0. He played 0 games.
I knew it was very low.
Yeah,
it was very low.
Wait, and what season was this? Was this when Renekton
this
was meta?
season? This year?
This season.
Oh, this season, of course. Oh, yeah, he played 0. But like, I thought you.
I was gonna say it was almost
no. I wouldn't have gone with something that big, Dom. Where like, there's no way you could know. That would have been. I would have given you a range if it was like in.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about when it was meta in LCK. I thought you said 2021. How many did he play in 2021? I would assume that he played a lot.
6.
It
wasn't that much.
Because that was when it was pretty meta. I guess it fell
3,
off at a point.
6, 7, okay, 13.
Let's just see. He
13.
has 30 games of Renekton all time.
Okay, he had 13 in
2021.
Oh, he had 3, and then in summer he had 7, and then preseason he had 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know what I love about this is like, no, love is the wrong word.
I was like, what do you
Excuse me,
love?
excuse me for abusing language. I was very curious, like, because he's a known Aatrox player, and Aatrox is actually his most played champ of all time. And like he doesn't play the Aatrox into Ornn when he's given last pick. That was very confusing to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think just everyone breathed a sigh of relief because it wasn't Renekton. Like there.
I mean,
Like,
remember they're playing on 12.6. This is a nerf Tryndamere too.
Yeah, that feels weird. That feels weird for Cloud9. I know we've made this mostly focused about Cloud9, not 100 Thieves, but it's because
100 Thieves played super well. It was nice
yeah.
to see Abadage returning to form. Closer and Someday have been good all season. It's been the rest of the team that's been crap. So seems like everybody's going in guns blazing right now. I'm excited to see what they can do versus Team Liquid. They certainly can win, especially after watching Team Liquid's form.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like I want to see 100 Thieves get better at the stuff that they're bad at. That's what I've always been saying. You know, I've always
say
been
that on every team.
Yeah, but I mean, like
no,
some teams, like they have such glaring weaknesses that they've never been able to actually get past, and it's like this is just pretty much the same. Like I looked at these games, and I looked at it kind of the same way that they ended up beating TL in the finals, where it's like, oh, they just won by doing what they're good at.
Yep.
Like,
if Closer starts snowballing on the Lee Sin, and you know they're gonna roll. Like they're good at taking those early game advantages. It's when they're even in or even just slightly ahead in the mid game where they have to make macro decisions that they tend to fall apart.
Yeah. That's why I wish that MSI wasn't just the best team from every region, because I would love to see like how is it going to look when you have a player like, or you have a team like 100 Thieves against like a third rate or a fourth rate Korean or Chinese team. Like that's like what I want to see, because I feel like those teams in other regions actually have like the decent players. Like for example, like a DRX has the players, I think, to match up with 100 Thieves. So I don't think they're just going to get steamrolled in the early game the same way. So how does 100 Thieves then play when the enemy team is like making relatively intelligent decisions around the map? I feel like that's what they've always been bad at. And who knows, maybe they just win LCS again because no one can deal with their early game. And Closer is like still one of the best players in LCS in my opinion. So I don't know. We have to see.
And this would have been the perfect year for it, given the fact that some of the teams can't make it. You could have just been like, hey, if you can make it, some of the bigger regions, let's send 2 teams. But, oh well. All right, and so a pretty big snoozer of the series. There are Cloud9 and 100 Thieves, but on the opposite end, TL and EG. It started with a TL win that felt like EG just waited to get steamrolled, and eventually they did. They didn't pull the trigger or do anything and just lost. But then Evil Geniuses put up one hell of a fight, and it was a very, very fun series, and it was highlighted by a ton of, and Bjergsen even called out to this, a ton of early ways that Evil Geniuses found ways to get advantages with invades, with fights early. It was fun. It was a very fun series. It was good League of Legends here in North America for a little bit.
I think EG knew that they weren't going to win a straight up best of 5, and which is fair. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like,
sure.
Why try and be the worst team playing conventionally? And so they did things that look. I think people will
gave themselves
focus
an impossible draft.
So
then
look,
they had to
game
play
5,
better.
Look, game 5 was a mistake. However, I think a lot of the games of this series were actually really cool, like set plays that gave EG advantages that they could snowball. The game 5 was a disappointing throw, but it doesn't erase the fact that I think a lot of the set plays were really cool and were effective at keeping Evil Geniuses in this series.
The game that sticks out to me that I feel like EG will look back on and be like, damn, was
game 5?
No, well, yeah. Game 3. It was game 3 for me. Yes, game 5 too. You're right. Sorry.
What if we didn't pick Renekton in Nidalee?
I mean, at least it's better now than it was, because Nidalee was just buffed.
Nidalee did get buffed. Yeah, so she heals more now.
Silver lining.
It was the game 3 because it felt like Evil Geniuses had control of the game. They had the Nocturne rolling, and I think if I remember correctly, they took one fight around River that was a team fight in the river by Drake. That was a team fight where it's like, isn't that not how you want to play this
Oh, you mean
Nocturne?
team fighting when you don't have any of your ultimates when you're playing like Nocturne Leona? Yeah, that's generally not good. Normally your ultimate abilities are crucial when you're playing champions like Nocturne. So, I mean, for me, it's just like they just have no discipline or something. Like, I don't understand why they have to fight. Like, they didn't even make TL really work for it because it looked like TL was actually like starting to like choke a little bit in the series. Like, they're actually having a bad go of it. But yeah, I mean, they just threw the entire game because they had to fight. I don't know. I wanted to see if Nocturne was good without his ultimate, and he wasn't.
And now Vulcan knows. Yeah, Vulcan's already talked about it in interviews before.
I like
he's the aggressive one
this
on it.
composition too from EG. Like by using Nocturnal, you can disguise the cannon flank. Like if you're playing, it's not even that hard to play, guys. This is like, it's not hard for a professional team to play this composition.
No, it's easier than their other comps.
It's really fucking easy. It's like the Rise can the Rise can get people into position. You can't see the Rise ult either. Like this is like training wheels comp for professional players. Now, obviously the problem is that you're gated by long ult cooldowns, which means that good teams will pick you apart during that time. But Team Liquid wasn't doing that. So it was just operator error on like a very, very easy to execute composition.
Yeah. And it wasn't like their ultimates were even that long because Inspired was so far ahead and he was running Ultimate Hunter on the Nocturne. So like he had like a normal ult cooldown. There was probably a point where he had a lower ult cooldown than even Jarvan in this game. So to me, it was just like, I couldn't understand how they were taking that fight where like Vulcan's Eing in. He like baits his whole team into the fight, and then you just see him like sitting in the brush with his ultimate cooling for like 10 seconds. And then as soon as it's up, he just like throws it in when his whole team is dead and just backs off. And it's like, damn, bro, like, please, man. Please just fight with your ultimates. Like, you guys are actually good. Like, your team is actually good mechanically. Just stop griefing for no reason. You guys did all the hard stuff. The hard stuff is getting the advantage with the Nocturne. The hard stuff is not just waiting. Like, when Nocturne gets to that point, that's when Nocturne is fucking unleashed. Like, he's just going to hit level 11. He has a Stride Breaker. He has CDR boots. He's going to end up going a Black Cleaver most likely afterwards. This Nocturne is going to have like 40-second ult cooldowns. It is going to be living hell for the enemy team to play. You just let yourself get to that point.
And there's a low mobility AD carry on the other team. So even better if you're playing against an Ashe, right?
Yeah. I mean, and you can even just kill the Graves. Like, you can kill anyone when you're this strong. So
I just went back and rewatched it. 13 minutes and 20 seconds
28
for those of you.
Yeah, it's a war crime.
Oh,
you see Vulcan just sitting in the bush while his ult's cooling down?
Really? Can you commit war crimes against yourself, Dom?
I think so. I mean, I saw C9 do it 3 games in a row, so I would assume that EG can do the same.
13:28. There it is. And that's that. The engage is 13:20, and it's like, oh no.
Yeah. Just
and then
watch
after
Vulcan
that,
after the engage when his whole team's committed. Just watch him sit in that brush with his ultimate, and then watch how he fires it off at the end. That's so funny. It's perfect.
He was a passive observer to the carnage. Oh, I'm watching this. This is great.
I hit two.
Yeah. I just like the ult at the end. Like, it's just so comical.
Oh, but that to me was the moment where I was like, oh damn. Like, it was really cool to see Evil Geniuses be aggressive, to punch up, especially after a very sleepy game 1. And game 4 was Danny unleashed, JoJo unleashed. That felt really cool. But that's the one that'll stick with me and probably stick with the team as like, yeah, I shouldn't do that. I should do that next game. It's kind of a bummer.
I mean, their level 1s were pretty good in the series. I thought that they actually got an advantage level 1 a couple times, which was interesting. So
yeah.
I mean, I like that they were like, they didn't just roll over and die. They played the games out, but yeah, it could have been better for sure.
Yeah, Golden Guardians tweets out, time for revenge, blah, 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 against like C9. FlyQuest tweet out the Key and Peele meme of him like sweating, like us watching TL and EG go back and forth. I thought that was really funny with FlyQuest, the higher seed looking like they've got the much tougher task. Who knows? Cloud9, maybe they find their form, but EG versus TL was a great series. Any closing thoughts here on the LCS before we close it up today?
Well, we should do predictions. The interesting prediction is whether Cloud9 is mental boom enough to lose to Golden Guardians. That's a tough one.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they'll beat Golden Guardians, I believe.
Okay. I'm not. Look, I saw those games, so I'm not super convinced. There is a non-zero chance that Golden Guardians wins the series. I think it's probably. I would still predict Cloud9, but I am nervous.
Like, line it up. Like, Ole over Winsome. Winsome looks bad. Let's say Summit is still at the same form. That's not good against Licorice, who is not the
I mean,
worst.
he has on-stage playoff experience. He's not he hasn't been great, but he's also not the worst top laner in the league, right? And if Summit's going to play that way, I think Ablaze Olive has been pretty decent overall this season. I think Pride Stalker has been pretty good. I don't think it's a 0% chance that Golden Guardians win. I think they have a 35% chance.
I can't believe we're having this conversation.
I can't believe it.
Sorry, I just had inception.
35. I think 35 is too high. For me, at least. 35 is
30?
too high.
You're going to get 30?
I just think Cloud9 is going to, man, if they fucking lose, holy shit, that is like a next level meltdown.
I think I just already watched the next level meltdown.
Yeah, but like the thing is, 100 Thieves are actually like not complete shit. So I don't know. I'll give it like 80-20 Cloud9. I believe.
I think the Golden Guardians' chances are much higher than that. I think Cloud9 is just rotting from within right now.
I think it's 25%. So I think Cloud9 wins 1 out of 4.
Right in the middle, dGon. Staying true to form. That's dGon for you.
Me. I'm looking up the 2020 Cloud9 meltdown, right? They lost their first series to FlyQuest, and then they won their next series against EG and then lost in round 3 to TSM to miss out going to Worlds. So just a comparison to last time we've seen none of these. Oh, was it Blabber? Yeah, I guess Blabber was on this roster, but Blabber's the only one with the experience there. I guess Ven's still in the house and still helping the team out, but the same team by name have that meltdown in the past. And then FlyQuest EG. This is a EG pick, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, there it is. All right, we've gone through the big leagues that we've been able to watch. That was a lot of league, dude. And it was most of it was enjoyable, except the LNG. Like watching
Cloud9 was not enjoyable either, but
yeah,
that was a spectacle though. I will at least give that. That was a spectacle.
I mean, I would say LNG is a spectacle for people that follow LPL too. Like the DoNB team failing DoNB Tarzan, like that's pretty fucking crazy. Going from top 4 to top 7-8 when you're playing with DoNB Tarzan, IWDominate is fucking finally out of prison too.
Yeah, but Ale was also quite good at Worlds last year, so this level of performance was not anticipated.
Yep.
All right. Well, it's time for everyone's favorite portion of the show. It's God or Dog time. Lots of good choices here.
So many choices.
Lots of good choices here.
Can it be anybody but Summit? I feel like if you're
Summit.
Yeah, if you're coming in off of an MVP regular split and you're getting 3 target bans from the enemy team while they're on red side and you're on blue side, I mean,
if you're the fucking MVP, you better be able to play more than 2 champions or 3 champions. Like that's
isn't that going to be so weird?
You can make the same claim about VTO, but he actually did okay in that series. It wasn't like he was straight griefing.
No,
Summit was like running it, like he was fucking sprinting it.
I feel like it's very weird. We had to vote for MVP. It's going to go to Summit, and
he deserves it.
He had performances like that.
He deserves it.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched Aaron Rodgers win the MVP of the NFL and then just ints the conference championship against the Niners. So
lost to fucking Garoppolo. That is a feat.
Just couldn't score any points.
Yeah. I don't know.
Actually,
man.
it wasn't even the conference. It was the second
yeah.
round of the playoffs. It
Mhm.
was the Rams and the Niners were in the conference championship.
Yeah.
So he didn't even get that far. It does happen. It does happen.
All right. Well, then let's go with our gods then. Let's start with you, Monty. Who do you got for God of the Week?
Oh, who do I have for
I feel like
God
I
of the
have
Week?
two of who you would pick.
I don't think it would take anybody necessarily. I mean, I think LCK Gumayushi probably was the best player. Gumayushi or Owner. Owner had a very strong last couple of games, but Gumayushi I think was more consistent throughout the entire series. He was also the only one not ill, apparently. So that was a good buff for him, I suppose. Who else would I pick? Maybe we can go with Guma.
Damn. Yeah, that was one of the two that I thought you'd have. That was the one I was gonna pick, but I got another one. I'll pick the other one that I thought you were gonna pick. Dom, who you got?
I'll go with Larson. I think Larson actually
That would be one of my other one. Yeah.
That was the other one. Fuck.
he conquered some fucking demons. You know, like he was actually good on a champion that doesn't suit his playstyle, not a control mage. He played a non-control mage really fucking well. 3 games to battle back from 0-2 against the guy that like has been countering him. Like his life counter. Humanoid is just his life counter in general. So I thought that was
He also played the
pretty
Victor
good.
relatively well in the games that they lost. He wasn't the primary issue.
It was okay.
Yeah, those were the two that I had. If I have to go for a third, then maybe I'm stuck between two junglers. It's either Santorin because of his games on Viego was a ton of fun to watch here in a in a surprisingly tough battle against EG, or Jankos in against Misfits. He took over those games, and it was a lot of fun to watch him just dictate the flow of the game and just kind of run through the squad. Yes, it could have also been Broken
I think
Blade, but
Jankos is a very good selection for this week as well.
yeah. And then we got a collective dog. Sorry, son.
he was so terrible. He got the
I could go with
triple
Tarzan.
dog.
I could give Tarzan dog of this week.
True.
I mean, bro, Tarzan, you're one of the best junglers in the world. I really have to watch you play fucking Chem Tank Xin Zhao. Nerf to Xin Zhao the Chem Tank. You're better than this. I expected more.
All right. It'll just do for a double dog for now, Monty. Oh, okay, y'all.
What is he? My question then is like, what the fuck does he have to do to even win a triple dog? Like that's what more could he do? Than
I
what he
don't
did?
know.
If he ran it down super hard on the Tryndamere game, that's a triple dog.
Okay.
So the
He's got to
Tryndamere
run
game,
it down all 3 games.
the Tryndamere game saved him.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. In the comments this week, lots of comments about
What was
my
the?
big
You
night.
didn't even do a guest comment. What's the guest comment?
The guest comments weren't questions though. They were just more commenting on me looking like The Rock, me looking like Rich Brian, which we went through a lesson off camera about who Rich Brian was there for Monty, and the mic being really big. Dom looking swole was one of them, I believe.
Nice
Bro,
time
what?
to be working out.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. They
Literally
I
just
have not.
getting fatter. Like, but I
Nah,
have
dude.
noticed that as I age, for some reason, my face gets less fat, and then my body actually retains the weight. So it's like easier for me to put on muscle now. I guess metabolism things. Like when I got if I used to get fat, I would just like look like my head would become a circle. It'd become a basketball, you know. But now my body actually gains the weight. So.
Oh, one of them was talking about Asian games. Let's say someone said that they thought they heard, lots of conditions there, that it was only 2 players per team. So, given that, who would you go with for Korea for the LCK? If you can only pick 2 players per team, and not even LCK, it's Korea, right? So they threw out a hypothetical that like Rookie wouldn't be interested because he lives in China now, and getting the passport would be difficult. But
Why would the passport be difficult? For what?
I don't know. Maybe travel. I don't remember fully. Let me see if I can find the comment there. But
maybe. I do. There's 2 different answers here, because if I am trying to represent Korea and do the best thing for Korea's domestic league, as in making sure that those people don't go to military service, I'm going to do something potentially different than what I would do if I am legitimately just trying to select
Make
the
the
best
best team.
Korean players. Because if Rookie has residency in China, then theoretically, just like green card holders in the US, I would assume the same rule applies where he's not going to have to go do military service, in which case the most good you could do is to save Faker from military service because he is incredibly important to the popularity of LCK as a league, and keeping him playing is the most important thing for the league. Hands down, like him going to military service is bad. Now, there's also the possibility that if he does go to military service, here's a lesson in esports history for you guys who don't know. In StarCraft Brood War, when Boxer had to go to military service, the Korean Air Force created an esports team so he could play during his military service, called Air Force Ace.
Holy
Now,
shit. That's going through lengths.
does that happen again? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that would happen again. But there is some level of precedent when a star that is as important to esports as Faker, and like this is why the Korean military service thing is so ridiculous, in my opinion, is because he should be able to play out his career, as should any athlete, and do the service later. It doesn't matter if he's 35, guys. Like his importance to Korean economics, the amount of money and fame he brings to Korea on a global level is worth the trade-off, right? He can do the service later. But we're neither here nor there. We don't get to make that decision. So if I'm going to say there isn't a huge difference, I think, between Faker and Rookie at the present time. Faker's having a very good season. Even if I would probably pick Rookie, I think it's more valuable to have Faker in the lineup. So I would probably, if I was pressed, it's tough. I can only have 2 players from one team.
Yeah.
Unlike Monty, because I don't want angry Korean fans coming after me, I actually am for the mandatory military service. I'm actually pro the draft in America as well. So just so everyone knows,
here's my opinion. I actually think that all Americans,
and I love BTS. Don't kill me,
I actually
please.
think all Americans should have to do 2 years of mandatory military or civil service. I think that would actually be incredible for this country. I would highly support that initiative for people who are approximately college age. I think it'd be great. So
yeah,
I actually think we should do more of that.
Now that I'm this age, I'm for that. I agree with Monty. That is very convenient.
But anyway, I it's not a negative thing. I just think they should be able to postpone the military service. So that is to say, I think I would probably take Faker in Korea if I had to from T1.
I mean, wouldn't you want to strategic? Because there's going to be more Asian games, right? So, like, wouldn't you want to take people that are at the age where like they would actually have to do the military service? So, like, you wouldn't want like a Showmaker over a Faker just because Faker is like close to, because it's like what, like 27, 28, and Carry is. I
don't know the age of all the like support players right now within the LCK, because like you could make an argument potentially for Beryl if he's older.
That's what I was thinking, because Beryl is what, like, isn't he like?
I think I would take Faker, Canyon,
Deft maybe.
Deft. It's hard to. Ruler is probably older though too, and he's like I might take Ruler and Beryl, and then
Ruler, Beryl,
25,
Jungle.
Beryl's 24.
Huh? Who would I take Jungle? What about Peanut? Isn't Peanut's got to be.
Deft is 25. Beryl's 24.
Yeah, so I would take Peanut, because Canyon will be able to get into the next one, right? So I would go like Peanut.
Yeah, but then but here, Dom, the strategy
team is so bad you're gonna lose.
The strategy is Peanut is not good in playoffs or like high pressure situations. He wasn't even good in these playoffs. So like the problem, Dom,
I
is
don't care about losing Peanut.
You have to see. Here's the thing, Dom. You have to make a team that is old enough but still good enough to beat China, because the only way you skip military is if you get a gold medal. You have to win.
True.
So do you really want Peanut? Is he gonna sabotage it for everybody else? I don't know.
Maybe Canyon can just carry the fucking squad. Maybe you just go Canyon, Beryl, and then you can just fill the squad with whoever, and they'll probably just like.
I feel like you run back the Canyon, Beryl established synergy from the past.
What top laner do you go with, Keen?
That's the problem. I think you go with Keen.
Yeah, I think you probably go with Keen. Interesting. What do you think about what they're proposing right now? What Doonby said today, which what they're proposing to do is they're going to do 4 matches a week per team for LPL, and they're going to do the whole season in 1 month of LPL for Asian games. That's what Doonby says is happening.
What?
So all of LPL, so because right now they play like 1 or 2 matches a week, and they do it over like 9 weeks, which is already crammed. Like there's no days
it's already
off.
7 days a week of best of 3s.
7 days a week, and then there's like triple games. There's triple best of 3s on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But what they're gonna make it is apparently 4 games a week per team. So it'd be like every single day,
4 best of
3 to 4 best of 3s, and they're gonna get it all done in a month.
You're gonna lose your voice. You have to be careful.
I'm not gonna do all that. I already don't do all of LPL. I
no,
skip
I'm just saying
right
for your sake. Like when I was in Korea and I was casting 2 best of 3s a day, 5 days a week, and I was talking the entire time, I would basically have to not talk the other 2 days because I would lose my voice. So I would pray for you if you had to do 4 best of 3s a day, every day, 7 days.
But like the thing is,
you could actually just permanently damage your vocal cords.
I don't know. Maybe like the years of crack have really just helped my. Like,
I think that now, but this is trust me, this is entirely different.
You think that now, but the years of crack that Monty's done, like that would have reinforced his voice. He still lost
17-hour streams, and like for some reason it's fine as long as I don't like listen to too much free cast. There's some effect when free cast where I just start screaming at the top of my lungs. I just lose my mind. So as long as I'm not just watching too many free casts with the audio on, I should be okay.
I hear Freak is going to cast LPL next split.
I'm dead. I will die.
Man, poor Davide. Brings it on himself though. All right.
Nobody mind controls him and forces him to make tweets at Dom. I'm just going to say that.
This is true. This is true.
Look,
all right.
Look, if he can just lie about my career and just say I was one of the worst junglers within my time in LCS, where he literally said he thought that I was the best and I have it on camera, I can at least factually criticize him when he is not casting well this split. Like that has to be a fair trade-off, right? I mean, it's actually not a fair trade-off. I'm fucking scared for my fucking life saying this shit. I'm gonna get banned again. But I already have to live view mainly everything anyway, so hopefully I can get away with it. You know, like I'm already live viewing 6 out of the 8 weeks.
What do they have to ban you from anymore? Just super weeks.
All I'm saying is, like, if I get banned, if I take another Riot ban, we are going the fucking money route. You're gonna see some betting sponsors, anything terrible that will sponsor me, alcohol, illegal substances, a heroin sponsor, maybe. Like, I will just be going all out in making money. We are getting the fucking bag and we are dipping out of this scene. That's what's happening.
The Dom OnlyFans is gonna come up where he just fucks body pillows in the shape of all the teams. It's gonna be bad.
Yep.
It's gonna be good.
It's just gonna be
or
me
bad.
like unfiltered, uncensored, responding to Freaks casts. That'll be my OnlyFans. It'll just be me freaking out like over and over and over again.
This is why Riot doesn't. They don't understand. Like this is why you keep your enemies close, because otherwise, it's even worse. It's even worse.
All right, I'm getting us out of here.
You don't give people nothing to lose. You don't give people nothing to lose. That's a bad strategy.
All right, y'all. You all at home have nothing to lose by leaving more comments, more questions for next week, please.
And subscribing.
Make sure to do that. Write more things about Monty this week. There weren't that many comments about Monty. Before it was like always agreeing with Monty, and then you had a couple of like people liking your look as well. I think in like weeks 1 and 2 when we first did it.
What, my black T-shirt?
Yeah. I know. I go through it, so I saw it. I was like, oh, cool. So yeah, leave us some comments about what you want us to chat about next week as we break down the LCS, not LCK, LEC, and LPL playoffs. Maybe we get some news about how things are going with the Asian games and how that whole roster is getting constructed. And then, of course, always ask at the end of the day, where can people catch you this week, Monty?
Summoning Insight, always a good bet. There you go.
There you go.
It's the only place you'll ever see him. Summoning
Dom.
outfit.
I'm tired. I'm tired of being in front of cameras. I just appear every once in a while now. You know.
How about you,
I'm
Dom?
pretty tired too, to be honest.
I bet you are.
I spend my fucking whole life on camera these days, but
Well, aren't you off because there's the break? Or is the
uh,
break over? Or the break was before?
Hey, you got a couple days off, don't you?
Yeah.
Till Friday.
yeah, but I mean, it's like I'm on camera all those days anyway because I do face check and then I do the show with Thorin. So it's like,
Hey, that's only an hour as opposed to like 7 hours. So
yeah, true.
It's
But
a
then I'm
light
also
day.
recording content for my YouTube channel sometimes. So it's like, and then I have to like record like advertising. So you know, I get enough camera time. I'll be fine. So yeah.
All right. You can catch my interview with Berserker over on my YouTube channel over at dGon Esports. And then this week I'm working on a project in Atlanta. So I will be there until Sunday.
What are you doing?
I'll make posts about it. Can't talk about it yet. Very soon. Next episode, I'll talk about it. But
He's
can't
going to
talk
be a
about it
Wild Rift specialist. He's going to be Mr. Wild Rift.
yet. Mr. Wild Rift. That's right. Wild
Mr.
Rift.
to you.
Mr. Rift. The Wild Rift Season 1 North American Championship is in Mall of America at the end of the month. So
Are you going to be there?
that's going to be really fun. Highly likely. That one's also in the works, but highly likely.
Man, I would
And if
not
not,
envy
we'll talk about
traveling as much as you're traveling right now.
I like it. It's fun. It's fun.
I
long as
fucking hate flying. It's just the airports are so annoying. And then now,
airports
like,
give me an energy of like everyone here has a story behind them and they're going to go accomplish.
Drinking
one of
at
their
airports
things.
is actually the best. I don't know what you're talking
I-
about.
I
People
don't
are
feel well
fucking
when I-
crazy. People are fucking crazy when you drink at airport because everybody knows you're never going to see that person again. So people just say the most insane shit.
yeah,
It's the
I
best.
don't feel well when I drink. I mean, now, because like every time you travel, you wear the mask the whole time, right? When you're all, like
Yeah.
when you're on the
At the
plane.
airport.
Yeah, at the airport, everything, right? So you wear the mask the whole time. And then by the end, like the back of my ears fucking hurt from that shit. Like that shit.
You have a lot
Annoying.
of problems, Tom.
Yeah. I
Tough
fucking,
life.
there's a reason why I only fucking travel every now and then. Twice a year.
All right, y'all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for watching. We will, if you guys have a solution, bigger masks for me and Dom's head because it also hurts the back of my ears, let us know in the comments below. We'll catch you guys next week for more jungle action here on Dexerto.